All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning Board to order. First order of business this evening is to review and approve the minutes of January 8th, 2026. Has everyone had the opportunity to review these minutes?
Yes.
Yep.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
I did not attend the meeting, so I'm going to have to recuse myself.
Okay.
So you don't have to roll call for the approval.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 8th, 2026?
I move that we approve the minutes of January 8, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Ayes have it. All right, next, review and sign bills. Chris, no bills?
No bills this evening.
Okay. Board member comments. Matt, anything?
No, nothing.
Dina?
No comments.
Barnett?
No comments.
Tim?
No comments.
Excellent. We're on a roll. Chris?
I do have a few brief comments this evening. So I just wanted to highlight the DLTA transit feasibility study that our office has been conducting. We have a finalized report for that. That was done in cooperation with the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, CMRPC, as well as supported by WRTA and MassDOT, looking at the Maple Ave corridor and the bus route along there in terms of amenities and potential feasibility for improvements to that route and to the kind of multimodal part of that leg of Maple Ave. So that is complete. We'll be distributing that on our website and distribute that to board members as well. But it's a good kind of planning process, and it'll lead into additional public engagement as we look at potentially implementing some of those recommendations. But I just wanted to highlight that. In addition, Northborough has made some progress. They're submitting an application for the BWALT, the Boston Worcester Airline Trail, which is a potential mixed-use path that goes through a number of communities into Worcester. The town has had some feasibility studies in Shrewsbury, but they're doing an additional feasibility study and asked for a letter for support. Our office provided that to them as part of their application. We'll continue to evaluate the town's participation in that BWALT. And then I also wanted to highlight our master plan RFP went out for bid, and we've received a number of comments back from potential bid consultants. So that process is still open, but we'll be moving into selection of a consultant once those bids are received and reviewed. So that process will be beginning after that consultant's selected. I just wanted to highlight that is ongoing. We're making progress there.
Chris, when is the RFP deadline?
The deadline is in next week.
So what is the anticipated date to have a consultant on board?
Yeah, so we have, we'll probably take 1 to 2 weeks to evaluate those proposals, but hopefully sometime by the end of February, looking to really get started in March. So again, I think, around mid-March, we'll probably start to see more progress in terms of the actual kind of data collection and scope of work and refinements around there. But as of right now, just finalizing the RFP process, so.
Great.
In addition, our office submitted a Mass Trails grant application for the Jordan Pond Park, looking to bring that conceptual design up to a full construction design. So we're hopeful on that application as well. We'll do continued public engagement around that process if we're successfully awarded and move that through local permitting. In addition, we are also wrapping up our hazard mitigation plan. Our office did receive a draft, and we're finalizing that draft with the consultant. That will be going out to public input shortly as well. So a lot of information that will be coming out of our office into the public. So just wanted to kind of preface that, and for those interested, to keep an eye out. We'll also try to drum up support and input into those plans as we work to finalize all of those. So that's all I have.
Great. Excellent. Our first meetings and hearing on the agenda is a proposed modification to retaining walls, trash area, and building style. This is a de minimis change request for Pulte Homes at 3369 Green Street. Yes, please, go right ahead. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening. Essex Petrie, Pulte Homes of New England.
And Matt Leidner with Civil Design Group.
Okay, so as stated, we filed a de minimis application for primarily two kind of change areas. As we started construction on the project, we performed a value engineering exercise. But also, I guess the first one I'll just touch on, when we submitted our initial application package, in our options for townhome types, we had 3 different townhome types. We've added a 4th townhome type. The footprint is the exact same. It just really basically we had an indent in our living area that was deck. That indent is now just going to be indoor living space instead of deck space. So that was one of the changes, just noting that we will be offering that townhome style option to potential homeowners. And then the other was more civil site related from a value engineering exercise we ran through. Really what the goal was to reduce the size or height of retaining walls as appropriate. And so we outlined a number of areas where we identified opportunities to reduce the size of the wall, not by changing the grade itself. It's really where the grade starts. The slopes that did not change in their pitch, just where the slope itself began. And one of those changes, as noted in the header, was moving the trash recycling area for the garden building, the 38-unit building, and we were able to entirely remove a retaining wall that was kind of internal to the site, and just adjusted the location of the trash recycling area to the other end of one of the parking areas. As had been requested, I sat with staff a few weeks ago, walked through all of these changes in detail in the plans, and that was where we kind of came to an agreement that this was a de minimis change application. Submitted that. We did receive some comments back. In response to those comments, we had our civil engineer, Matt Leidner, provide a letter regarding questions pertaining to stormwater, and then we also had our geotech engineer provide a letter regarding the structural side of things.
Good.
Happy to answer any questions.
Matt, anything?
No questions.
Dino?
I'm good.
Pardon?
Just a quick question. On that 4th option that you indicated, is it only if somebody wants that option that you would go for it, or was it going to be an additional option for everybody?
It would be presented in the sales trailer to a prospective home buyer for this. There's 4 types now. I know these don't mean anything to you guys, but they're Ashton, Bowman are a style, and then this other style is called Hadley. They're interchangeable, those 3. So it would just be part of it would be an option for a prospective home buyer to pick one of those 3. Same footprint.
I know Shrewsbury as a whole, we have had some problems with the slope areas at other developments. The changes or the de minimis change that you are proposing to that, do you foresee any problematic situations within the development in terms of slopes failing or anything of that sort?
No, we would not. The changes are fairly minor in the scope of the adjustments to those slopes, and that was, again, we had our engineering team provide those letters stating to that there is no concern with those adjustments.
Thanks.
Tim, anything?
You mentioned value engineering on these retaining walls. Is that is the reason, is it a fiscal reason for the changes to the retaining walls? Is it aesthetics?
Well,
What is
it's
it?
it's a little bit of both. I mean, any time that there's an opportunity to reduce the height in particular of a retaining wall is a good thing, from a site perspective. But there was certainly an element of fiscal in it as well.
But no change, Matt, to the integrity of the property with the changes to the retaining walls?
No change to the stormwater design. The water flows exactly where it did before. No change to the limit of work.
Yeah.
As Essex mentioned, the grade of the slopes is the same. We just basically took the slopes and just shifted them slightly, and that ended up reducing the height of the walls.
Okay. Okay.
Steve, anything?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. And I was the one that had asked for some of those, so I saw those letters, they make sense to me, I'm good. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept these changes as a de minimis change.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I think we have to do we have to do a roll call on a de minimis change?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Matt?
Aye.
Dino?
Yes.
Perna?
Yes.
Tim?
I'm in favor.
Steve?
Yes.
And I am also in favor.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next item this evening, proposed modification to parking layout. This is a de minimis change request for Z&N LLC for 31 Boston Turnpike.
Thank you. We received a request for continuance on this one. I did ask the applicant to provide that as we were reviewing the plans in relation to some of the building permits with this. There's some additional comments from the building department that needed some additional review. So we just wanted to take a pause on this just to make sure that we have the right documents before us and make sure that everything is kind of in order, and we'll take this up next month if the board is amenable.
Is there a motion to continue this de minimis change request to the March 5th meeting?
I move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Matt?
Yep, that's,
Dino?
Yes.
Perna?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I also vote in favor. Okay. Next is a proposed common driveway special permit. This is a continued public hearing for 33 and 35 Redland Road.
We also received a continuance request for this application.
All right, is there a motion to continue this special permit public hearing to the March 5th hearing date?
I move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Matt?
yes, I'm in favor.
Dino?
In favor.
Perna?
In favor.
Tim?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Steve?
Yes, in favor.
I am also. Excellent. Okay. Next, proposed new lots modification of a definitive subdivision. This is for Cypress Ridge LLC. This is a continued public hearing for 0 Greenbrier Drive. Hi.
Madam Chair, the record, my name is Richard Ricker, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant Cypress LLC, who, as you know, was the applicant for an original site plan. Well, the second. All right, the second site plan for this particular location. That subdivision plan, as a matter of fact, John Grenier, who's seated to my left, was the engineer of record, and he was involved in that particular proposal and before your board. And that involved originally a 66-unit over 55 development that during the process of the subdivision approval process reduced the number of units to 48 units. And at that time, there was a traffic study that was submitted to your board. That traffic study I think has been updated. You have an update that we gave to Chris today, and I understand that you haven't had a chance to review it. And that updates the original traffic impact analysis, which we would suggest to you is favorable in light of the fact that now it's 48 units, and we're looking to put 3 house lots on the same cul-de-sac. The matter of prohibition of additional house lots, I would suggest to you respectfully, I misunderstood, I think, the purpose of the initial conditions on the initial approval, which said that the applicant had to come back to the board if you wanted any additional lots or curb cuts on this particular cul-de-sac. Now, I've seen that provision before on approvals. I have not seen an absolute prohibition, at least I haven't. And I was concerned that that might be misconstrued as a prohibition, so we addressed that. I did also confer with Attorney Vidal's town council on this matter, who addressed my memo with his memo, and I've submitted a follow-up memo, just based on, I think, what we do agree relative to the ability of the board to limit the further lots on the cul-de-sac. I would suggest to you respectfully that, yes, the board certainly limit, there's no question there. Having given due consideration to the various concerns that the board has in viewing and reviewing subdivisions in the subdivision control process. And those, if I were to mention them vaguely, it would be concerns of public safety, traffic, things of that nature, questions of detriment to the public good, and to the neighborhood, and to the streets that serve the cul-de-sac. This would still remain a private street per the original approval. The Board of Health would need to approve the septic designs. There's still, there would be septic systems for these house lots. There is no sewer availability there. So with that, if John has anything else he'd like to add about the plan.
Yeah, and I can give probably a little, because I know a number of the members of the board weren't on the board during these previous permitting processes. The timeline of this was there was an original application for the subdivision, and that was done by Cypress Ave Development Partners. That was for the creation of the cul-de-sac alone. There was no subdividing of or any lots. It was basically one large lot. And the purpose of creating that cul-de-sac was to create frontage for future development. After that was approved and recorded, within the next 6 months or so, or 8 months, we were involved with a proposal for a over 55, which was, the frontage was on a portion of the cul-de-sac. There was adequate frontage for an over 55 development, which was on the southerly portion. There was a frontage strip that came off of the cul-de-sac, and then that opened up to about a 38.5 acre parcel on the south side. And the proposed lot line was shown as part of that proposed over 55 development. Now, and that was approved during the process, as Richard stated. It was originally proposed for 66 units. During that process between Conservation Commission and the Planning Board, that was reduced down to a total of 48 units. As Richard stated, the original design for traffic that was based on the 66 units, and that went through the process, and that was reviewed by the town's consultant or peer reviewer for traffic. So the site distances, traffic, the amount of traffic coming in and out for the over 55, that was based on 66 units. So fast forward to now, with the remaining portion, what we are proposing is to create 3 single-family house lots. One of them, as you know, the minimum lot area in this zone is 20,000 square feet. Lot 1 is 26,000 square feet and change. Lot 2 is 3.2 acres, and Lot 3 is almost 2.2 acres. So 2 of the 3 are drastically larger. They all have adequate frontage, area, access, et cetera, in accordance with zoning. So we're not asking for any waivers from the zoning or any of that. And to make sure that, you know, apples for apples, what the total traffic is going to be, we approached the previous traffic engineer who did the report, and they updated that report. And it seems, at face value, pretty obvious, at least to me, is when you have an 18-unit reduction from a report for 66 units and then down to 48 units, and now you're going to have 3 single-family house lots, the traffic impact shouldn't be increased. And the report that we gave demonstrated that. I believe that there was, during the total traffic, there was a significant reduction, and in terms of the peak morning and peak evening, there was also a reduction. And the only change from the 48 units to, and with the increase of the 3 lots, I think there was 1 additional, in the peak hours, I think there was 1 additional car added in the peak morning, and maybe 2 additional cars in the peak evening. So just at face value, it seems like there's obviously no change or huge modification to traffic with the result of the 3 lots. So I just wanted to give you kind of a little historical and where we are now. And if there's anything else, Richard?
Yeah, the fire department also had reviewed the original cul-de-sac plans and program during the over 55 development phase of the subdivision process.
As well as the original subdivision.
As well as the original, but I mean, the over 55 being 48 units, obviously the fire department review was important, so I forgot to tell you that.
Okay. Matt, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not, no.
Do you know?
So the fire department has no issues with the turning radius or the cul-de-sac at all?
Well,
No, that was under the original subdivision, and it's obviously in the record, but we also uploaded that. As part of the decision, it said that they had reviewed the turning, the emergency vehicle turning for the cul-de-sac as part of the subdivision process when they created the cul-de-sac.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a quick question on the septic thing. Under the previous approval, was the septic system a community septic system for all the units together or individuals?
Yes, there is, for the over 55, there is a community system that's already installed.
Okay.
And actually, as-built have been done for that, and that's going to be, the as-bills will be reviewed by the Board of Health. Now, these individual lots will have their own individual septic systems.
correct.
And when there was initial, during the initial design and engineering, there were test pits done in the areas where these 3 lots will be, and we reviewed those, and it's all sand and gravel material. There will be the requirement to do witness soil testing with the Board of Health, have a septic design. There will be the requirement for Conservation Commission. I would also note that on lots 2 and 3, the bigger lots, each one of those has in excess of 60,000 square feet, so an acre and a half of upland on each of those lots. And lot One also has, actually, there's no wetlands on that lot. So we will, but with that said, we would be within some buffer zones, so there will be Board of Health for septic, there will be Conservation Commission for a notice of intent, and there will be stormwater designed for each individual lot. So there will be separate processes to make sure that these lots conform with all of the, whether it's Board of Health, DPW, stormwater, and septic requirements.
So these 3 new units, if they're approved, they wouldn't be paying into the operation and maintenance?
They would be
of the-
single-family houses. They would
There's-
be totally separate.
Separate, okay. Yeah. Okay, so we didn't get a chance to review the latest
Right.
updates for the traffic, but,
Understood.
yeah.
Tim, do you have any?
I do. I'm a little confused here, and hopefully you can shed some light on this. So, because I have not seen the letter from Attorney Madaus or your response to his letter. So I don't know if those were part of the materials. They weren't in the materials that I had to review. But in any event, so based on your memorandum of December 31st, 2025, you requested respectfully either the board approve the proposed plan as a modification of a subdivision or direct the planning department and building department that such approval is not necessary. So it's, as a layperson, it sounded like a precursor. You did all the research very nicely. It sounded like a precursor to a suit if the board doesn't approve this modification of a subdivision, because it basically stated that the conditions attached to the February 7th, 2022 prior approval weren't binding. So I'm not even sure what's in front of the board right now.
Well, I think they were binding, and I think that perhaps I was a bit too strong in my statement in the first memorandum, which is why I followed it up. I do agree that the board has the power to do the limitations of lots in a subdivision. There's no question. Whereas I didn't say that in that memorandum. I was concerned with an outright prohibition when I was addressing the concerns with the first memorandum. And I was concerned that, and based on conversations I had had with planning, I was concerned that there was outright opposition to any additional lots. And I wanted to address that, if that was in fact what those conditions were intended to be.
Yeah.
So we have clarified that. I did have a couple of conferences with Attorney Madaus about this, which is why I followed up with my follow-up memorandum, which you will have, and I'm sure you'll review before any decisions are made.
Okay. Was that available prior to this meeting?
I think it came in right at the end of the day, right?
We
Yeah.
came in.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's,
Right.
If you want a copy of it, I got it.
I know.
so it seemed like we didn't have a decision to make based on your memorandum, in a way.
And I've now clarified that,
Okay, fair enough.
and I apologize
Oh, no, that's quite all
for
right.
any misunderstanding.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
thank you for clarifying.
Steve, anything?
Yeah, just for clarity, are we evaluating both the modification of the subdivision and the modification of the special permit at this time? Because I think you have to.
Which special permit?
The special permit that was part of the approval for the 48 units of age-restricted housing,
So
because both parcels were included within the application for special permit.
So I think I can clarify that, Steve. So in the application for the special permit for the over 55, we showed as a proposed lot line, the lot line is shown as what's called out as Lot 4. So in terms of area, it was the 38 acres, which was just as a proposed lot line to be chopped out of the entire parcel. So there was no change in terms of lot configuration as proposed, open space, any of the dimensional requirements or design for the over 55. So the over 55 was done showing what is shown as Lot 4 on this updated plan to you.
But I think the decision included both parcels.
We showed that,
I'm pretty sure of that. The decision, and as well as the application, reference both parcels.
there was...
I guess we can look at that.
Let's take a look at that, but I know that we had showed it as a proposed, and actually I have a copy of the layout plan, and I showed on the special permit plan for the over 55, we had a proposed lot area, and we showed the proposed lot lines associated with the over 55, and that was about 38 acres. It wasn't proposed for the entire parcel. It was proposed for the southerly portion, which was 38 acres. Well, we can take a look at that just for...
I think what's going to control, John, is the application and the decision. And I think the application and both decision referenced both the entirety of the site, including the site which is part of the subdivision which you seek to modify. We're going to look at that.
Well,
I think we have I have a feeling we'll have an opportunity to review that.
Okay.
Because
What's that?
I'm assuming this is going to be continued, so we'll certainly
Yes.
take a look at that.
Okay.
Steve.
So let's take a look at that, because if that's the case, John and Richard, you're doing a good job of representing your client. But if that's the case, and John did a good job of getting his client an approval that night. I looked at the tape again. I know Boulay and Thomas were definite no's for that special permit, and I was on the fence. And we kind of negotiated the density at 48 units.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of my concern. Because I don't like,
Okay.
I think I did it once. We did when I was on the board, and again, this is ancient history at this point, that we substituted our judgment in terms of a pretty significant modification of a special permit or some other approval from a prior board in which the composition was different. My other question is, with respect to the age-restricted units, right, now this is in entirety of the site, it's contiguous, does this trigger the affordability bylaw?
I don't believe, I know they did a payment in lieu, and that was for the 48 units. So I'd have to do the math on what the next, like...
Did they do a payment in lieu? Because I know for times
yes.
you were pretty successful in getting waivers because the DHCD was not accepting these as age-restricted units.
So I can speak to the affordability on that. So these are scaled as, the affordable units are scaled fee in lieu. So as building permits are released, 5 at a time essentially, a payment is made before the next units can be released. So it's phased until the completion of the project. I can review in terms of that calculation if additional lots, if this lot is considered. We have not done that at this phase. I'd have them decoupled, but I can take a look at how that would affect the calculation.
Those are my comments.
Okay.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything further that you want to add on this? Okay. I do think that we want to have an opportunity to review the traffic
Absolutely.
analysis as well as some of the memos that have been floating back and forth. So if it's all right, we'll look to continue this
Sure.
to the next hearing, the
Absolutely.
next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
We
thank you.
anticipated that.
So if I can entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to the March 5th meeting date?
I move that we continue the modification of definitive subdivision for Cypress Ridge LLC to March 5th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Matt?
Yes.
Dino?
Yes.
Darna?
Yes.
Tim?
I'm in favor.
Steve?
Yes.
And Julie's a yes. Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item is the proposed mixed-use development site plan approval and special permit for Prestige Property Development LLC. This is a continued public hearing for 308 312 Boston Turnpike.
I have to recuse myself from this one.
Good evening again. And please, the board, again, for the record, my name is Richard Ricker. I'm here representing the applicants, Prestige Property Development. And we have the principals here behind me. Hamid and Amy.
He's
Okay, you just came in. Okay, all right. As you know, we've been here before. We've been here, I think, a few times at this stage. We did submit previously an updated narrative relative to the changes that have been made previously. I believe John has given a cross-section plan and submitted that as part of the submittals, at least you told me you did, in response to Mr. Fitzgerald's request for something along those lines. The Graves' final review did come in, and they suggested an additional hydrant, which is added to the plan at this stage. I think the remaining issue is the traffic analysis. We, 2 days ago, received the peer review, and our traffic engineer has not had an opportunity to review that as yet, nor could he attend here tonight. Obviously, we would suggest and request a continuance to deal with that, because I know you want to hear the answers from him relative to that peer review. I would point out, however, a lot of those questions that as I read that peer review, a lot of that has to do with two main issues. One is a restaurant, which that suggestion of a restaurant came out of the building department, and it was added at the suggestion of the building department because it was suggested if we did have that in the mix of types of businesses, then the applicant wouldn't have to come back to the board for a modification if a restaurant did come along later. Also, although it was not in the original mix of their thoughts of a restaurant, it was added for that reason, to have it in the mix so that, the problem with multi-tenant places is that if you have not addressed all the possibilities at the time that we're in front of your board, then we find ourselves having to come back. So this was an attempt to avoid that type of a problem. Not only that, we don't know if a restaurant was to be put into one of these 3 units or 2 of these 3 units or whatever. We don't know what that would do to parking calculations, traffic calculations, because we don't know what kind of restaurant we're dealing with. We have absolutely no idea at this stage. So there's really no way for us to calculate. Because we don't know whether it's a sit-down restaurant, we don't know if it's a takeout type of thing. They all are treated differently in our zoning bylaw with respect to parking. So we do know that we have 90 parking spaces, of which 4 have been sidelined, so to speak, saved, or however you want to phrase it. But we have 90 spaces that exceeds the 70 some odd that are required. But we don't know what a restaurant would do, what kind of a restaurant. We have no idea what that would throw into the mix. We wouldn't know that until a tenant comes along. And at that stage, if they don't meet the requirements, they don't get the permit. It's as simple as that. Unless there be a request for a variance of some sort, but that just isn't happening these days. I just don't see it. So I would suggest to you that all of that discussion in this peer review, which I'm assuming you may not have had a chance to fully review yet either, but if you have, all the talk about the restaurant is kind of beyond anybody's scope at this stage when we talk about trying to predict the future in that respect. And the other issues that in there, there's a lot of points that she made that obviously we have to go to DOT and deal with and ask these questions. And the DOT related, and the permit related for the curb cut, right, John? So, but there are a couple of pertinent questions in there that Ali Kursani does have to respond to, and I don't know if you want him here next time, or if you would accept a written response to the request. That's up. You just need to tell us. What I think we would like to know at this stage is just what the expected deliverables would be for the next meeting.
So I mean, I've had the chance to give a cursory review of the peer review that came back this week.
Yes.
And I do have a couple of questions that, I mean, I'm happy to present them, you know, in a written format so that Ali can respond to them. I don't, you know, not anticipating what others might have. I think it would be helpful to have him here, just in the event, because there, you know, this is a project that has had a lot of public input on it as well, and I do want to. I can't read the minds of the public here of any questions that they might have. So I think it might be worthwhile to have him come. And like I said, I do have a couple of questions, and I'd be more than happy to submit those to you so you can come prepared to address those. But then we'd have the opportunity to kind of continue to ask some additional questions.
Sure.
That makes sense to
Just
me.
so you know, we did try to, after we got the memo the other day, we did try to get him to get us something in writing so that we could have something, but it was just not enough time.
Yeah.
And
He's out of town.
he was heading out for a vacation, and I can't
Probably
blame him.
someplace warm.
Probably Florida.
We don't want to say that. We don't want to bias anybody.
And yes, Steve, the weather is nicer there. So, no, understood.
Definitely is.
We'll have,
It's still cold down there, so.
understood, and we'll endeavor to get him here next time.
Okay.
I spoke to him, and I already have him penciled in his calendar.
Okay. That's wonderful.
But I'm hoping that we've narrowed it down to that issue. That's what I guess my point is.
I actually do have a couple of other questions, but I'll run it down the line here, and then we can get to my questions. Dino, do you have anything?
Not right now.
Perna?
Yeah, I agree with the chair that we definitely would like to see your traffic consultant here at next or any number of meetings that deal with the traffic issues.
Yes.
Okay. That's one thing. Second thing about the comment that you made, that on the restaurant part, that you don't know what kind of traffic it might generate and what kind of changes. I mean, I could see at any of the developments, the mixed-use development, they are almost everyone has a restaurant of some sort.
Right.
There should be some basic level of tools that you can use to come up with some numbers.
And I would expect that Ali would come up with something, but I'm just pointing out the difficulty that we're going to have, because no matter what he comes up with, no matter what the treatises or whatever they use to come up with these calculations, no matter what they say, you have variations of restaurants and the types of restaurants. And our zoning bylaw is what counts. And different types of restaurants are treated differently by our bylaw.
I can add to that, too, a little bit, is also in terms of, and I know one of the things was parking. Well, it depends on how many seats. You need one seat for, one parking space, I believe, for every 4 seats. So if it's, you know, something has tables all jammed together and they're going to have 30 seats, well, that's one thing. If it's, you know, a Domino's that has, you know, 2 booths and a counter, that's something different. So there are, to Richard's point, there are variations depending on what type of restaurant, how many parking spaces it would require. And historically, with the building department, if you go for a different tenant fit out, when they submit the plans, you have to demonstrate that with not only for that use, but the other uses that are existing on site, that you have adequate parking for all the uses. So we've done a few projects that have gone through the building department where they've had to demonstrate how many required parking spaces, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's retail, whether it's a business, to make sure that there's enough parking for all the uses on the site. So I think that's what Richard was going for, on top of whatever traffic may be generated from that. And if they took up one of the 3 tenant spaces, if they took up one space, based on the square foot, it would generate obviously a little less traffic. If they took up 2 spaces, that would be more traffic. So it's a little bit of a moving target, but we'll have our traffic engineer review that and give his opinion on that.
I may not have been so good in my
You're not a traffic
explanation, but I will say that in zoning right now in Shrewsbury, parking is an issue, and especially restaurant parking. And there's been instances where the microscope is on it. So we're sensitive to that.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things. I know that certainly we're interested in your response to Bowman's traffic impact analysis. That'll be obviously part of this. And then there was a resident that brought up the health impacts from living next to a substation and power lines. And I know, while I know there's nothing documented in terms of a causal relationship to public health and proximity to living near one of those things, I don't think it's anything that, in the absence of any documentation in that regard, I don't think it's anything the board or I can place as a factor in the decision on this, because there doesn't seem to be anything of that nature available to say it does have an impact or it doesn't. And then lastly, I had asked the question about community benefits in one of our prior meetings. And of course, in the Lakeway Overlay District, those include low or moderate income affordable housing, which I know is part of this, and one additional community benefit. Can you speak to another additional community benefit for this project?
I think there's a tax benefit. There will be net a tax benefit, I think. Did we submit a financial? We submitted a financial analysis.
I spoke to that exact question.
Right. So I think that there is a tax benefit. There's substantial permit fees coming into the town as a result of this. So there are benefits financial wise.
Anything else specific is outlined in the bylaw?
Oh, well, the bicycle racks, that's been placed there, although I think I'd hazard a guess that I wouldn't be riding a bike on Route 9.
Do you want me to read off a couple of the things?
Sure.
So,
If you can just,
into this?
yep, please, and just state your name.
Hi, Amita Tommy, Prestige Property Development. So there were 98 construction jobs that will be created by this. There were 22 permanent jobs for the retail establishments that are there. 138,000 in annual property tax revenue. Additional revenue we estimate around 4,900 annually for the Community Preservation Act surcharge, vehicle excise taxes, personal property taxes, and meals taxes, et cetera, that would be generated from the retail. Then we had the building permit fees and other development-related charges that would come from doing such a project, the stormwater and other utility fees that would come from that, as well as the Selco subscriptions and the fees generated through that. So those were all, in addition to the housing supply, the affordability of the 4 units that you discussed, and I think just the commercial space that we were in.
Yeah. Thank you. Certainly not disputing any of that. All relevant. The bylaw describes other community benefits, so I was just curious if any of those apply here.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we tried with the walking trail. I know that's one of the things that's in the bylaw to make it part of the community, but through the community meeting that we had at the senior center, we heard that that's exactly what the community doesn't want. So therefore, we shied away from that. If not, that was something we were going to tie in with the Trails Committee in town to do that. So some of the stuff that's in the bylaw, I agree, we could not enact one.
Yeah, okay. So there's, yeah, it describes on number 3, page 121, some other items that may be worth just taking a peek at.
I thought I did last meeting, but okay, I'll take a look at it again.
Thank you.
Relative to the health impacts of the high power lines, I would note that there are other developments in town which are proximate to those same power lines, and they have been for many years. At least one of which is a well over 55 development, and they've been living a long time. So,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about that, because I like you, have not seen any studies that conclusively can give us answers either.
Yeah, I brought it up because the resident brought it up, and it's, I think it was fair to bring up. However, in the absence of any documentation to the one way or another, it
I agree.
certainly doesn't seem to apply.
Thank you.
Steve, anything?
I'll wait till next month. I'm all set.
Okay. I just had a couple of items in addition to the traffic items that I'll pass along to Chris, and he can circulate it to you guys.
Okay.
I was reviewing the plans, and the existing 12-inch sewer line on the site is private, correct?
There's, coming in from the, I guess it's the south, there is by the state, the I always say it wrong, the substation.
Yep.
There's an easement that goes along that brings sewer down, and this was a developed lot at one point. I think there was a daycare center on it a long time ago, and there was a sewer service.
But it was a private sewer service, I guess, is my question.
Well, there's an easement that comes through that provides sewer to this parcel, and so I think there's public sewer that comes down, but then there's a historic sewer service that, off the last manhole, that comes into this site.
Okay. I guess to just get to my question, I just wanted to make sure that if DPW has reviewed and signed off on that, so that was...
Yeah, so we, obviously the plans that we submit, they go to the engineering department, DPW, and review. And I think on the initial, I think they wanted us to make sure, the state of that sewer service line, making sure that, and, what we said, I think we would cam it. And make sure there's no issues with that line. We don't want to put water into a line that's cracked.
Right.
I mean, it tells me that the DPU director has confirmed sewer availability.
Yeah.
Okay. The other items, can you confirm, because I saw that you added some light poles, especially in the islands, but there's also landscaping in the islands, which I believe are also some trees. So can we confirm that the light poles being installed are complementary to the landscaping being planned?
Sure. All right, we'll double check that and make sure that there's no issues.
No sense of putting a light if it's blocked by a tree, right?
Yeah.
And then another item on the lighting, is it confirmed that the wall packs on the retail building will be sufficient lighting, especially if it's, again, the potential of a restaurant, that it looks like the only lighting in that area is coming from the wall packs or whatever other, I don't know if it's decorative lighting or anything on the retail side.
So yeah, we had lighting, one over each potential unit on either side, and then I think there's lighting over on the apartment building on the side, so that would, from both sides. And there is some, the light fixtures can be tilted, or there is a little bit of to make sure that you can provide the right spillage. We just want to make sure we weren't lighting the place up like a Christmas tree, because we want to be cognizant of residential butters. But we did have, I believe, 3 wall packs on that, and then there's other lighting on the apartment building next, so just so we have enough spillage to light up that parking lot that's in the middle. So, but again, we'll double check the foot candles on that to make sure it's adequate.
Okay. And finally, have you guys done the soil testing yet on the site?
Yeah.
Have we confirmed that there's no further modifications that need to be made based on the soil testing?
So we had soil testing in both the front and in the back. It was a little bit difficult to navigate, without making a mess of the site, but the soils were consistent, and I believe with our conversation with Graves Engineering, because we had, as part of the modification to where the location of the commercial building is, we did shift around some of the subsurface drainage. But it was fairly consistent, and we are pretty shallow. So typically what Graves has suggested is prior to construction, just go and just make sure that it's consistent. But we feel confident that it is consistent throughout the site based on what we did in the front and the back.
So it won't result in any major modifications to your
No.
drainage? Okay. Okay. Those are my questions, and then obviously, like I said, I'll forward my other traffic-related questions on to Chris
Great.
to circulate
Thank
to
you.
you. Anyone else? Actually, this is a public hearing. As there are members of the public wishing to speak on this item this evening. Yes, sir. Please come down, state your name.
Ferry, 19 Glen Road. Back in December's meeting, you guys at the board asked for a 3D model for design. Has that been presented yet? Is that a true
So the view shed, yes, I believe the elevations, that has been provided.
So it's on the website?
Should be, yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's
I'll double check that it was.
this,
Correct.
and this is in the permitting portal.
Okay. So it's a link to that?
I'll make sure it's on the, if it's not on the webpage, I'll make sure that it was
Okay, 'cause
uploaded.
I might have missed it, but I could have.
I'll double check.
So I know traffic is going to be talked about next month.
Yeah.
But I did read some of the peer review of it, and I don't see any mention of anything from the next agenda, which would be 335 Maple Ave, how that kind of correlates to their traffic study. Is there a combination, is there any mention of that to the traffic study?
Not now.
There hasn't been any mention of that in our traffic study, nor in the peer review process.
Should it be?
Well, it is on the other side of a divided highway and 200 feet up from the Maple Ave intersection.
So the typical process is that traffic for subsequent projects, it gets captured in their reports as background traffic. So this project applied prior to 335 Maple Ave. So this project will not anticipate traffic from the 335. However, 335, their traffic study will take into account this project as background traffic.
So it's the chicken and the egg type of thing. I mean, their whole argument about how to exit Route 9 is they're going to be taken, if they want to go onto Route 9 west or down the center, they're more likely to take Oak Street. And there's no mention in that in their traffic study. So I'm having a hard time understanding their point of view with their traffic study, how their argument and what their, I don't know if you can talk, I feel like you need to talk about both projects.
Again, so without talking about two projects at the same
Well, I
time,
know.
335 will have to anticipate this as background traffic. What it is, so their report will take into account this project. This project, because they applied prior to that, it's not anticipated. We can't require them to take into account a project that was not even conceived prior to their application.
But their whole traffic study from their original traffic study is taking a left onto Oak Street. I mean, that's really how they're only going to be able to turn. So all that volume, all their argument in the traffic study is kind of void, in my opinion. I don't see, they're making the argument for their project.
It's a volume that the 335 would have to anticipate and address.
Okay. Okay, I guess
I would suggest if there are like specific traffic-related questions, because we do know that Ollie will be at the next meeting.
yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons why,
That is going to be the
that was one of the
most-
reasons why last month I said, why do we have both? Because if they presented it and, you know, I don't know, it just seems to me like it's almost, they should be taking account of what Oak Street could, I mean, their whole argument about their whole volume, how they're going to get in their business is all through Oak Street. So I just feel like it's kind of like the chicken and the egg type of situation. And to take it separately, I don't know. I mean, if this was 2 years ago or 2 years from now, then I guess it could be fine. But this is they're almost going to be right on top of each other. So I just feel like, I don't know, it just seems to like they're not even addressing it. But I'll listen to their presentation next month and I'll have more questions on that.
Okay.
I do have a general comment about November's meeting, how you asked for the community, what benefits the community. And I was sitting in the audience and I didn't really get to see it, but when I watched it back on TV, all the two applicants and the engineer, and they kind of all stared at you for about 10 seconds and gave you a blank stare for 10 seconds. They couldn't come up with a really quick answer. And then the answer they gave you today, I mean, yes, taxes, yeah, but from what we have going on in town, this is very small potatoes. I mean, we really don't need that tax. We're going to have plenty of it from all the developments that we're going to have from, you know, on top of Maple Ave, you know, down, you know, in the center, potentially down in the Maple Ave here, the North Main Street apartments, the Hartford Turnpike. Those are big developments. Those are going to develop more taxes than a small place like this. I mean, we really don't need that crammed up of a space as a community. I know the Fairlawn area we don't need that. I mean, we're the community and we don't need that. We're going to have something across the street already. So then you're just going to put this on top of it? It seems like to me it's no community. I mean, I'd rather pay more taxes than to deal with more traffic and more people on top of me. But that's just me. I mean, I am part of the community. So, I mean, as far as Selco revenue and all that, and I mean, I can do away with that. And I'm sure if you ask any people in the Fairlawn area, they're going to say the same thing too. So, but I'll leave my traffic questions for
Okay.
next. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Cohane. I live at 29 Gleason Road in the Fairlawn section. I guess, so we're going to do traffic next week, next month. But I could not also find the view shed on the website. But I did make some pictures of what we have right now that shields our neighborhood from the power lines and would shield us from the building. So I'd like to give them to you, and then you could take a look and see what the view shed compares to afterwards. Yeah. I'll give you one.
Thank you, Ken.
Pass that down. And the other thing is a minor thing, perhaps, but I was thinking about, I know that the maintenance will be, the snow blowing, the snow and everything like that will be taken care of. I've asked before about the snow storage, and it is shown on the plan. I question if that's going to be adequate. And I was curious about the mailboxes, if they're going to be inside the buildings, or if they're going to be separate?
Inside the
things.
building.
Okay, good, okay, they'll be inside the building. And that's it for today, then, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else from the public on this item this evening? Yes, sir.
Anand Sharma from Precinct 9, 102 Stony Hill Road. So I live across the street on the Stony Hill Road where this project is coming. Last 3 months, I can see are more than 30 or 20 accident happened. And it is possible you guys can provide the report because of the traffic on there is already so much high. And when this project construction is going on, we have no place to go and come out every day. So it's possible you guys can provide how much accident happened in the last 3 months on the Route 20?
So just for clarification, this is on Route 9. This project is on Route 9. We're not on the Route 20 project yet.
So this one
We are
is...
still talking about 308, 312 Boston Turnpike. We have not...
Sorry about that.
No,
sorry about
that's perfectly fine. No? Anyone else? All right, if seeing no one else, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this hearing to the March 5th meeting.
I move that we continue this hearing to March 5th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dino?
Yes.
Perna?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Steve?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Thank you very much.
So traffic,
Traffic, yes.
that's what we'll deal with.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Anything else you?
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda, proposed mixed-use development, site plan approval and special permit. This is for the Virginia K. Luke Irrevocable Trust. This is a continued public hearing for 525 Hartford Turnpike.
I have to recuse myself because my wife's family are letters.
Okay. Before we get started, I know that this project is something that there are a decent amount of people here this evening that may want to speak on it. I'd like to try and follow the same format that we did last time for the 335 Maple project, where we allow the project proponent to give your presentation this evening. I'll open it up to public comment. I'd ask that the public, again, be courteous and respectful of the proponent as well as each other in each other's time, to make sure that the questions that are being asked are relevant to the topics that we're discussing this evening for this particular project, recognizing that there are most likely going to be a couple of hearings on this on different topics. So just trying to keep that in mind. Also, as questions come up, what we'd like to try and do is collect all of the questions and then allow, at the end of the public comment period, allow the project proponent to respond to those questions, or we can kind of have a follow-up at the next meeting, just so that we can avoid the needless back and forth and try and keep things as efficient as possible. So with that.
Excellent. Chris, do you mind letting me into the meeting?
I can hear you fine. Could I ask everybody to just speak into the louder or speak into the microphone, including the people that come up to these microphones, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen. I'm just signing on here real quick. Tom Corbett with Go Venture Capital Group here for 525 Hartford Turnpike mixed-use development for commercial and residential. With me here tonight is Jack Denninger with Fuss & O'Neill, civil engineer for the site plans. So just want to kind of recap. For one, we have not received Graves comments yet, so we haven't got the initial review of the project and the scope and how that stormwater looks. So just understand that we have made some, and we continue making some minor revisions and some substantial revisions to the plan. But we won't, you guys won't see that until we respond to comments with the Graves peer review. So we won't get multiple iterations of plans out there until we address all the comments from every department, including fire department. We did meet with the fire department on January 9th at our office, and we reviewed the plans. We come up with a direction forward, and we'll be working on providing the fire department with an emergency access plan for further review and approval by them for their recommendation to the board. We have also, since the last time we met, started our Conservation Commission hearing for our notice of intent. Much of the same conversation that we had at our last meeting here together for a pretty high-level review, and still awaiting Graves peer review for speaking to drainage structures and such like that. We have also had some communications with water and sewer and have identified options for connection for sewer, working through those, and we'll continue to work with those departments as the plans progress here through peer review and comments back and forth. And we do acknowledge as well that we have a traffic impact statement that still has not been issued yet. We are awaiting that. We had a last-minute change in the consultant that we were using for traffic to carry us through MEPA and carry us through the appropriate MassDOT communications that we're going to need to have for the signalized traffic installation proposed anyhow. Right now, we are still continuing those efforts with MassDOT, as well as compiling the correct information into the traffic assessment in order to trigger the need for engineering review at the MassDOT level for the traffic, for the installation of a signalized intersection, ideally. And we heard a few comments at the last meeting about development impact, community impact, and we are compiling those now. Still need some more materials from traffic and other things before we finalize that document for you all. So we did just want to take tonight, and hopefully not too much of your time, to really just review stormwater utilities as an overall plan to get the information out to you. And then we can further, we expect a continuance until Graves peer review comes back and we're able to make those comments back and have a better conversation. So with that, I'll let Jack take the wheel.
Thank you, Tom. So I'm Jack Denninger. I'm a civil engineer with Fuss & O'Neill. Based on last meeting, we just wanted to go into a few more, briefly, a few more site civil related items that we didn't have the chance to get to before. So namely stormwater, site utilities, and then some construction period erosion and sediment controls we're going to be implementing. So Tom is working his way over to our drainage plan. Yep, right here. So this is behind the board here. So we kind of want to look at several different areas and just kind of describe the stormwater system to you. So this is right on the frontage of Hartford Turnpike where the commercial building will be. Behind the building and to the sides of the building is where there will be the parking. We have implemented new stormwater drainage in this area, so that'll consist of deep sump catch basins to collect the stormwater runoff generated from this area. The water from those deep sump catch basins will then flow to 2 water quality units on either side of that blue boxed area above the building, which is a subsurface detention system, and then it ultimately is discharged towards the pond to the north. So the water quality units that are being proposed are to treat the stormwater runoff from the parking area, and the subsurface detention system is going to mitigate the peak flows associated with that development. Similarly, up at the top, so again, we have 2 residential buildings here at the top with associated parking. Similarly to below, we are going to collect the stormwater in new stormwater infrastructure, deep sump catch basins, and collect that and convey it through a water quality unit, again, to treat the stormwater prior to that other blue box, which is our subsurface detention system, which will mitigate the peak flows associated with this development up at the top. That'll discharge towards the wetlands and the intermittent stream beyond the residential buildings, and this ultimately all drains down to the pond interior to the site. The stormwater system has been designed in conformance with the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook. Now I want to briefly touch on the site utilities. Tom, if you can go to that page. Yep. So we are implementing all new utilities as part of this project. So we will be incorporating sanitary sewer, water, electric and telecom, and gas, and connecting that into the existing services in Hartford Turnpike. The lines will mainly be underneath our driveway to the north there. That'll go up to the residence, or the two residence buildings up at the top, and there'll also be stubs off for the commercial building. And then Tom, if you can go to the erosion sediment control plans, sheet 13. But I'll speak to it briefly as Tom navigates this. But I just wanted to briefly touch on the erosion and sediment control plan that we have incorporated for the site for construction period activity. So we are going to implement compost filter socks and silt fence around the disturbed limits to prevent erosion in any sediment that may get off or may try to get off the site during construction, as well as catch basin inlet protections within the proposed and existing storm structures. We're also incorporating erosion and sediment control blankets on our slopes that are 3-to-1 or steeper to help stabilize that until the permanent vegetation stabilization is implemented. We're also incorporating a construction entrance at the site access to minimize any sediment from construction equipment as it enters and exits the site. So I just wanted to briefly touch on those site civil related items that we didn't really get to touch at our last public meeting.
That's all the information we'd like to share with you tonight. We just wanted to get that out there, just so you can get familiar with the site plans and what that drainage is doing. We obviously have further conversations about drainage outfalls within Conservation Commission, and the obvious Graves review, and expect your comments from there. That's all we have.
Jeez. Okay, Matt, questions?
Not at this time, no.
Dino?
It's very preliminary right now, so no, I don't have any.
Okay. Fair enough.
See.
Tim?
The scale of this, the 5 stories is still, I'm having a hard time grasping 5 stories, 2 buildings here, and what it's going to look like from Route 20 in this district.
Mm-hmm. We do have some section views, and we can further those for a better understanding of that. We can bring those up to date. I think the last time we really looked at the section from Route 20 was during the ZBA. So we can bring those section views up to date and show you what that looks like with this actual design in place.
Yeah, it just seems like the scale of this at 5 stories is not in keeping with this stretch of Route 20 here. So
Specifically in relation to the 5 stories, so this project did receive ZBA action. Part of the discussion around that was the reduction of the culvert crossings that would be required. There's the large portion of open space that's preserved that was under an alternative model, development model that was provided. So the intent was to give the variance towards the height to allow the 5th story, and that preserves the open space. So it's in keeping with smart growth principles where you reduce the kind of horizontal impact and achieve a vertical benefit by doing so. So that was achieved by the ZBA. They granted a variance for that specific point. But to your point of contextual character, I think there's potentially conversation there.
understood. Question through the chair for Mr. McGoldrick. Is the planning board bound by the zoning board's variance decision on the 5 stories?
The applicant is entitled to the rights vested by that. The board is not bound in any way by the decision, but they do have vested rights through that variance to exceed the height.
Does that mean this board can't question that?
So again, I think we have to be delicate. If it's simply in terms of the height not meeting the requirements of the bylaw, they have a variance in place that allows them to exceed that height, so the board can't overturn that ZBA decision. But in terms of how that height affects community character and view sheds, I think the board does have jurisdiction to review that with the applicant.
Yeah, certain, okay, understood. Thank you.
I recognize that the peer review has not come back on this, and I do think it would be helpful to kind of be able to fully digest this. My one question, and again, I'm trying to visualize the area right now in terms of elevations, but as part of your stormwater design, are we seeing two truly separate stormwater designs for the residential component as well as the commercial component, or are they tying into each other to ultimately get into Route 20? Or I guess that's not clear to me on here.
Sure, so I can speak to that briefly. So it's one cohesive design, the residential and the commercial space built into one. The stormwater, there is a small portion of the site along the frontage in existing and in proposed conditions where the commercial building is, that does flow directly onto Route 20, but the remainder of the site, both the exterior of it and where the residential buildings are, it all ultimately drains into the pond interior to the site, which ultimately drains in front of the church property and under Hartford or Route 20. So it's all modeled as one design.
I'm sorry, you say pond, that this is a proposed detention pond?
No. So there's a water, a literal bank pond filled with water interior to the site, and all of the water, or the majority of the water, drains to it.
As it does today. So the whole rear of the site, starting up off of Cherry Street and the vernal pools up on Cherry Street, all is tributary down to this pond. And the pond on site bifurcates the property essentially from front to rear, where we're proposing an enhanced storm crossing. But that pond, ultimately everything on site does discharge to that pond or overland flow to that pond prior to exiting the property.
Yes, so if I may add, if you were to look at this site development plan, behind the residential buildings, there is a series of wetland in there. The water flows page right behind it towards the right property line, so the northern property line, which flows down towards Route 20 and underneath this culvert crossing that we have, the drive between the commercial building and the residential building, and into the interior here, into here. So the stormwater from higher up, there's a wetland in here that it ultimately flows down along this path where my hand is taking here and into a pond.
Okay, yep.
So when I say pond, I do mean a literal pond, not the subsurface system is detention. It's underground, it's underneath the parking areas.
Understood. Okay, understood. Thank you. Chris, do you have anything on this?
No, so as was stated, the peer review from Graves is still outstanding. Likely speak to some of these comments as well, so I anticipate that early next week. In addition, our staff comment letter is in development, so we'll have that out shortly as well. So that's all I have for now.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so I'd like to open it up to the public for any questions, comments. Yes, sir.
My name is Richard Edwards, 80 Oak Street. So I have two questions. One, the issue of the 5-story building was brought up, and you aptly put the fact that it wasn't consistent with kind of the look and feel of Shrewsbury. So my question with regards to that is, are you opening up Pandora's box by making an exception? Obviously, the zoning board said yes, but the fact that you're making an exception to have a 5-story building in Shrewsbury, that now, at some point down the road, you're going to have some other developer that's going to come in and say, well, we want to have a 5-story building in here as well. And look, you've already got one over there on 525 Turnpike. So you approved it for them, why don't you approve it for me? So I'm talking long-term impact as far as that goes. One, so that's my comment and kind of question. And then my second comment or second question is the single road access in there. They're going to be building a bridge, okay? So crap happens, and if that bridge goes out, or if there's some emergency and it gets blocked, people inside those buildings will not have access to get out, and you won't have emergency vehicles having access to get into that area if there's a problem with the bridge in some way, shape, or form, or some aspect of the road, because there's only a single entry point into the property. So I think that that's creating a potential problem in the future when it comes to something like that. And you know how we get a lot of snow, and there's those types of things that happen, and accidents happen, and now all of a sudden you've got a huge traffic tie-up in a potential emergency situation where maybe somebody has a health issue and the ambulances can't get in there because of that. So I question how appropriate it would be just to have a single road in and a single road out over a bridge that they have to build. So my comment, my question.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
Hi, Jackie Fashion, 487 Grafton Street. I'm just wondering, can we pull up the architectural design, the look of what you're proposing for the residential buildings?
Is that something?
I just saw a picture of it. It's not very pretty. Sorry.
So is there a question related to the
Well, I just wanted everybody to make sure everybody could see that, because in my personal opinion, I just feel like it doesn't really have like a quaint New England feel at all. It looks a little more like a hospital or a prison, or it's just very, I mean, I think there's other pictures too that I just saw that's maybe on the...
Yeah, and these are all uploaded.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that does not fit in our community at all. Like, that's one of my biggest issues.
We're leaving this to the individual speaking. Thank you.
I think they agree.
Well,
I know. I'm just saying that's one of my many concerns, but I don't understand why it has to look so industrial and so not at all in line with New England or Shrewsbury or a town. It looks like a city, like a big city. That's my main concern.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Brian Costello, 398 Walnut Street. Just to reiterate what was said previous to me, you know, if I look at the Lakeway Overlay District, you guys have actually a right and a responsibility to fit the, you know, either approve or deny these types of projects based upon the Lakeway Overlay District guidelines. One of the things in the guidelines is no flat roofs, right? Try to avoid flat roofs. The pictures they're shown, these are just flat roofs. There's no gabled roofs. There's nothing there. Design actually is a reason for you to force changes in the proposed development. We may not be able to stop the development, and I want, you know, people have a right to build on their property, but we certainly have a right to say, hold on a minute, this doesn't fit even the Lakeway Overlay District guidelines. that were developed by the town, the bylaws, right? I mean, I can even read right here, promote distinctive, non-formulaic architecture and site designs along Route 20, right? I think we can all agree it's not very distinctive, it's not very interesting. So there are things within that Lakeway the Route 20 overlay district guidelines that allow you as the planning board to say, hold on a minute, you guys really need to follow these guidelines, right? It's great that it's just not, by the way, the letter of the law, right? Their design actually is a requirement under these overlay districts. And I just encourage when we're looking at that to keep that in mind and hopefully work with the developer to say, come on, guys. As Jackie said, it looks like a hospital or a prison. It's not a good design. So thank you.
Other members of the public wishing to speak on this? Yes, sir.
Anand Sharma, Stony Hill Road. So I live across this project is coming in there. I can see three important things. First is the traffic congestion. Second is the wildlife, because that area has the pond and water body, and you can see a lot of conservation land also. And third things like the infrastructure which we have currently. So every morning, I repeated last time also, you can see a lot of traffic. I go 10 times in and out from the Stony Hill. I face a very hard time to merge in on the Route 20, and whenever I taking the left turn to my house, I can see the back guy is not going to hit me. That kind of situation is there. One time I already had accident when I was taking the left turn, he hit that one. So last 3 months, I want to request to you guys, last 3 months, you guys have to look at how many accidents happens on the Route 20 on that corridor. I can definitely tell you more than 30 in 3 months. So we would want to know because of this small corridor, lot of traffic is going on, those big new construction going and vehicle will come. And we don't know when that state going to develop the 420 plan or something. How we are going to deal with that? This is not problem with the Stone Hill. This is the problem for the whole town. Because we are every day, this is the situation there. Lot of fox and other animals are roaming around. The water body going to destroy it, or like the conservation land, what is the impact of the water body? Like what is the wildlife effect? We need that study also. You guys have to ask them, and somebody has to conduct that study for wildlife. And then infrastructure also. We don't have the sewer capacity. We want to match how they're going to deal with that one. How many, the school also we have problem like here. Every day complaining, kids can't walk in the school because of that, lot of kids are coming, lot of development is coming. So before going to do those kind of things, we need those study, and we want to make sure this project handled very nice, significantly giving the importance because it's going to change the town outline. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this evening? Yes, sir.
Kevin O'Brien, Farmington Drive. I missed the last meeting, but I was at the Zoning Board of Appeals. I live in Farmington Drive, which is in the woods behind, not on the Route 20 side, behind the woods there. And Chris, you said that talking about there's a 7-acre lot that touches this property, that it's got 1/3 the zone is a part of the Route 20 overlay district. The other part is zone rural B that bumps up to my neighborhood. And I know you brought up the last meeting. I couldn't make the last meeting, Chris. I appreciate you bringing it up. That there was concerns from our neighborhood that they would try to, at some point down the road, try to, grab that piece and then keep, building addition, because they kind of bump right up to the edge of that property. And so you said, at the planning board, that's really when you can, address that as part of the planning process. Maybe say, hey, we're not going to try to, have them back, annex that land or somehow link up with the owner of that land to build, some more apartments. So I'm just bringing that up there to say that's what I would like to see, and some other people in our neighborhood, we've spoken about it. But as of the plans now, it's not on the plans now. I just looked today. There's no additional out there. So right now, Tom, you guys are no plans at all, right?
Yeah, still no plans.
Good.
Sorry to.
Yeah. Now, my question, one quick more question to you, Chris. Now, since this moratorium came through, that other piece of property, 1/3 of it is limited industrial part of the Route 20 overlay district. Since that wasn't part of any planning process for this or any other project before that moratorium went through, that 1/3 of that piece of land really is part of that moratorium right now, correct?
Correct, for mixed use.
Okay, so for like at least 2 years, that's safe harbor, I guess you could call it, right?
For mixed use, correct.
Yeah, all right, well, that sounds good. One other question, and I know you guys talked about traffic last time. You guys are, got the variance, and you guys have the necessary land and all the other things to build the development. I'm fine with that, but to kind of piggyback what other people are saying, maybe not working with the state to try to get this development built along with getting that traffic light at some point, if you do it all in conjunction, so the traffic light's there, then the apartments are open, that might be just a better way to fit it into the community. And if you guys could work on that, that would be greatly appreciated by, I think, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this evening? Yes, sir.
Chris Kirk, precinct, 40 Westwood Road, I'm sorry.
You can give us your precinct too, that's fine.
Okay. Regarding stormwater management, used to be that most cars were gasoline powered, but some of them nowadays are powered by electric motors, and some of them have big lithium batteries in them, which means that there might be a fire sometime that has to be extinguished. And I'm asking whether the deep sump catch basins would be able to separate out a ton of lithium hydroxide before it ends up being dumped into the pond behind this development. Also, just a bunch of routine questions, which is, have any filings been submitted regarding water and sewer impact, traffic analysis, or economic impact yet?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on that? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Lake. I have a procedural question. So projects of this size are required to come before the planning board for approval. And the zoning board, at least by name, is the zoning board of appeals, which means there has to be a decision made before they can actually appeal it, at least for a project of this size. Obviously, if it's a homeowner that's trying to, put their shed a little too close to the fence, they can go directly to the ZBA and do their thing. But it seems to me that with the developer going and getting a ZBA decision first, that they're essentially tying your hands on the 5 stories for the buildings. And that just seems to me wrong, and the wrong process that we should be following as a town. Any comments? Can you educate me on how this is supposed to work?
So I can speak to that briefly. So the zoning bylaw defines the permit granting authorities for various permits. One of those is a variance, which is to have relief from specific zoning bylaw. So the ZBA gave that relief from the zoning bylaw, and as part of that condition and that decision, required the applicant to deed restrict open space and preservation of that open space in perpetuity in order to have that relief from the zoning bylaw. So
they are essentially...
So the applicant pursued that. Typically, you'll have an applicant that will pursue the variance process because that will define their development process before the planning board. As I mentioned, for the ZBA, they provided 2 different development options and found that this option before us was desirable, but without that variance, they would not be able to pursue this option.
So it seems, though, based on what you just said, that the ZBA exceeded their authority. They're not really there to choose the design. They are there to provide a variance for a very specific limitation that is in the zoning bylaws. So they've tied your hands. You have to approve the plan based on 5-story buildings there. You never had the opportunity to say, you know what, okay, maybe if we spread this out over a larger footprint, yeah, I know doesn't fit in with some people's ideas around keeping open space and all that kind of fun stuff, and that's great. We should be keeping open space, but you know, we've already given up on doing open space, honestly, with the way this town's developing every piece of property that's available. So to me, the whole process seems wrong, and you're basically you're done. You don't get to do your job, unfortunately.
So I just want to speak to that again. So the rights granted, it is rights that are granted to the applicant to pursue. If this board decides that they should have less height, they can still pursue that alternative development style that did not require any variance relief. So they're still entitled to that process as well.
Any other members of the public? All right, at this point, there are obviously, there's a great deal of information that we still need to get back. Actually, I should give you an opportunity. There were some questions that were posed to you this evening, and while you have your engineer here, are there any items that you'd like to?
I think we could respond to them because they're all pretty much generally the same in some aspects. I think we'll find some of them being answered through the development impact statement and fire department comments as well. So, and I can address the EV situation as well.
Okay.
I'm well versed in lithium-ion batteries.
All right, so if possible, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this public hearing for 525 Hartford Turnpike to our next meeting on March 5th.
I move that we continue the public hearing for 525 Hartford Turnpike to March 5th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Matt?
Aye.
Dino?
Yes.
Parna?
Aye.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda, I think we, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, we can kind of bundle these two together. This is proposed commercial development and proposed mixed-use development, site plan approval and special permit for Spectacular LLC. This is a continued public hearing for 335 Maple Ave. Good evening.
Good evening. Tim Hayes with Bowler Engineering, civil engineer on the project. I have with me Sam Adams, who is the owner applicant for Spectacular LLC. I will share my screen with you. And before I do, I'll just give a brief background of where we are. Similar to the last applicant, we have not received our peer review on either the traffic or the civil engineering for the project yet. So we'd like to take the time tonight to just give you a brief overview of the infrastructure existing and proposed for the project. We understand that we're going to be back in front of you to go into more depth into the potentially stormwater or other items that we brought up during the peer review process. We'd also like to take a little bit of time, and Sam is going to present some updates to the project.
A little louder, please.
Yeah, apologies. Yep, no doubt. So I was saying that Sam's going to give a brief update of some changes to the project that we have been contemplating, and some updated rendering and aerial imagery to kind of give you a flavor of where we're going with that. So
based on previous expressed concerns from the board and from the neighborhood.
Great.
So, with that, I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So this is the existing conditions mapping of the site. I've highlighted some important features here. So obviously, I think folks are mostly familiar with the site here, but we're bound by Oak Street on the east side, Route 9 on the south, and Maple Avenue on the west side. The existing Chelmsford building is kind of shown there on the west side of the site in that kind of Lego shape there. There are two wetland that are important to the site. There's a isolated vegetated wetland that the wetland consultant has flagged in the middle there, which is the green, and then there's another bordering vegetated wetland off to the southwest, which is not actually on our site, but is on the National Grid power lines site, but it does throw a jurisdictional 100-foot onto our site. And as a part of the process here, we've actually filed our notice of intent. We'll be having a hearing, I believe, later this month with our first hearing with the Conservation Commission, which will be, I think, similar to review of stormwater and things that we're doing with this board. From a utilities perspective, the site in Oak Street, there's really just one public utility to mention. It's a 12-inch water line. Route 9 has some drainage in it that we do have some small connection to. And then there's a kind of a spur coming up the driveway on the southwest side of Route 9 of a water line. It's an 8-inch line, and that's important. I'll get to that in a minute. There's also a 12-inch and a 6-inch water line that changes sizes in Maple Avenue. There was some work done by DPW a few years back to convert part of that 6-inch to a 12-inch, and that'll be important in a minute too. And then there's also a 8-inch sewer line and a gravity sewer line in Maple Avenue, and there's a 18-inch force main, which I'm sure folks are aware of with the work that was done recently there. So let's see. All right, so on the proposed side, and sorry it's a little busy, but I tried to color it where green is stormwater infrastructure that we're proposing, and purple is kind of the sewer, and blue is the water lines, and I can zoom in and make it a little more clear, but I'll start with the water. So initially with our discussions with DPW, I think there's some concern with the 6-inch water line in Maple Avenue and wanting to create a loop through where the 12 inches in Oak Street and the infrastructure in Route 9 that has a 10 and a 12 inch. So our proposal would be to essentially on the commercial side is to create a looped connection through with from the 12 inch all the way through the site to feed all the various pads, but then also complete the connection to the Route 9, the Route 9 water line infrastructure, and then also complete the loop up to, in our new driveway, up to the Maple Ave 12-inch line. It will do two things. One, it will obviously provide redundancy for this site, but it would also provide redundancy for the neighborhood as well as you continue to create more looped infrastructure with these larger lines. So that's one important thing that we're trying to do with DPW. And then on the sewer side of things, obviously we only have gravity sewer in Maple Avenue. We've been talking to DPW about the connections there. Essentially, we'd be, each pad would have its own sewer connection to kind of a main, kind of private main, I'll call it, that traverses the southern half of the site here, down again, connecting to the infrastructure in Maple Avenue. Each of the pads, if they have restaurant uses or other uses that require grease trap, would have a grease trap that would then, tie also into that sewer main I was describing, and then. And then the residential buildings, the upper buildings here, obviously I don't have an opportunity to tie into Oak Street because there's no sewer there, so essentially they'd be collected up and brought around down the hill to Maple Avenue, where also the other residential building 5 would also connect. So the next utility I want to talk about is the stormwater. So we've done some soil testing out there. Obviously the upper half of the site is generally infeasible to do infiltration. So we focused our stormwater testing, soil testing on the southern half of the site and have found some opportunities to do some infiltration. So the dark green boxes here are essentially subsurface infiltration systems where there is good draining soils, where there's separation of groundwater. And then these hatched boxes, and I apologize, this is kind of hard to see, but the kind of the lighter green hatches for each of the various pads are detention. All that together serves to basically throttle back the flows, and meet the peak rates that we need to meet. Everything essentially is draining from the east side of the site to the west side of the site towards the wetlands. Some of it does, drain to Route 9, which will happen in the future too, but not very much. Mass DOT typically likes to minimize any new connections, even if there were existing connections already. They try to make you minimize that. So some of the reasons these systems are getting a little bigger on the south side of the site here. Let's see. Sam will jump over to your stuff here if you'd like to speak. All right, so go ahead, Sam.
Okay, I think this you've sort of seen before, but I'll help you to sort of place yourself in the project. This is when you come in off of Oak on the southern driveway. This would be the first residential building that you would see, and this would contain the leasing office and amenities, the parcel, mail and parcel. And offices that have, business offices available for the tenants. So a lot of those amenities are in this building. That's where the sort of glass cube is on those first, on the near building. And that's a two-story area, open up. So that you've seen before. Let's go to the next one. This you've seen before. And then next, what we have added, we heard the concern, and one of the criteria for Lakeway is this sort of interconnectivity on the site. And we have sidewalks that we've done on Maple, but we've added some internally. So that is the building residential 5, which is on Maple, somewhat over where the Chelmsford building is now. And we've added a walkway that comes from that building, and it comes down to the supermarket building. So this is in the near part of the picture. This is the lot that's behind the supermarket building, and Maple would be on your left. We also added a significant amount of vegetation in the setback area because there was concern about somebody who lives across the street expressed some concern about looking at the building. So happy to add the vegetation. And this is the bird's eye from sort of the Maple Route 9. So we've got, I brought a little laser, so make it a little easier. So the driveway that the walkway that I just referred to is this one. And we also added from the 4 buildings, we also are looking at and would like to, we're a little concerned about the cost, but adding an internal walkway that comes across slope here from that area where the circle was with the textured pattern, and that's the building we were looking at initially with all the amenities in it. That would come down, that would come westward, and then cut northward, and it connects to the 5th building. So you can walk, that you have the pedestrian connection from all of these buildings to the building that is on that lot, and this area is the Lakeway portion of the Lakeway project. So you have the availability to walk all of this. And we also added a walkway from that same area that starts going eastward and then cuts back and actually takes you to the upper portion of the commercial project. And we've added we've extended what is the sidewalk. We have, all these sidewalks that do not exist now, but before this sidewalk came down, we've got a sidewalk connection here that goes behind these 4 that was there, but what we've added is a sidewalk up that comes up and meets. So all of this is walkable and walkable into this as well and up Maple. And then we have On this one, I think it's pretty much the same, but we added some connectivity between this building and these buildings. We've added, more of an outside seating area over here, and we will. This portion, which is the commercial, is not Lakeway, but I'm going to make it look like Lakeway, just as I did with Marketplace Shrewsbury is commercial, but I looked at the Lakeway criteria and I included a lot of that into the Marketplace, and that being the pedestrian from the connection to the street all the way to the commercial buildings. And seating area. I have at Marketplace. I have we call it the meet and greet area out in front of all the restaurants. So we have benches and we have planters. We have bicycle racks. I also put in a bus stop and a bus shelter in Marketplace, just because I thought it looked good. And we're going to do the same kind of upgrade, though not required, in the commercial portion of the project. And then over here, I think maybe the next picture. This is another view of the connector walkway from this area on the first residential building coming, and then it comes down here, connects, and this is the one that comes and connects over to the supermarket. And then we were asked about including a component, something referencing the Chelmsford building. So this is actually if we can take the building apart and this is usable, we will do it. Otherwise, we will simply recreate it. This is what is on the top of the tower, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, top of the tower of the Chelmsford building. This would be a pocket park. This is the building on Maple Residential. This is that walkway coming down, and we created this pocket park where we have this is the same bus shelter that I'm using over at Marketplace, the same bike racks. We have some benches. This probably has to be tweaked a bit because I'm not quite sure where the town would, as far as a setback, would want the bus, the benches and the bus shelter. And then we have some benches here. This behind this element, the architectural element, is the walkway that cuts over to the supermarket, all internal. Planner just like we've done over at Marketplace. And I suppose this would get some kind of plaque referring to the history of the Chelmsford building that occupied the site. And then as far as entranceways, we anticipated doing it, but we didn't really draw it, just like I did at Marketplace. All the curb cuts for both of these projects, they'll have elements, landscape elements. I like to do the split rail fence, 2 or 3 rails high, and stone walls, probably some stacked to the degree that we can, consistent with what you see, up and down Main Street, up and down Maple. I used to own 315 Maple. I did all the stone walls in front, and then I ran them up the driveway, very consistent with what's already present in the town. In addition, we'll be doing aprons. I'm not sure if we can do the actual granite, but if not, we'll do something like they did over at Lakeway. I don't know if that's an accessibility thing, but we'll be doing at every curb cut at the project. So this one, the one down here, and all the other curb cuts, we'll be doing, we'll be highlighting the entry in a soft way with some split rails, some wall, landscaping, smaller landscaping in front of the larger landscaping, and some decorative crosswalks, aprons on the driveways. This is on the corner, looking at the corner of Route 9 in Oak. And, before we showed this, I really had contracted the architect to sort of work out, the residential buildings are more of a puzzle because you have to fit every single unit, the bathrooms, the hallways, all the components, and that's really what we hired the architect for, and that's what he modeled. And I realized that at the last meeting, because I think all the commercial buildings sort of looked like little data centers, but that's not what we envision. What we envision are buildings that are similar to, in material and texture to what I've done over at Marketplace. To the degree that I can dictate that, I will. And again, a lot of landscaping on this corner, so we're not, the commercial is not flooding the corner. It's actually set back, and this whole area is soft. And I guess next time, the next meeting on the 5th of March, traffic will be in and talk about all the traffic and why things look the way they do. All that has been worked out with the state and the fire department for the trucks, and all that maneuverability and access we've already done with everyone we have to. This is looking at the project at a lower level from the west area on Route 9, and this is pad 5. This is the Masonic Lodge here. Pad 5, Pad 6, Pad 7, the supermarket, the residential building on Maple, and these are the buildings up on, that would be accessed off of Oak. I think there's one more. Oh, no. So again, this is coming up Maple. That pocket park that I showed you is over here. But this is the curb cut that would come in from Maple as you are heading, I guess that's northeast. And that's the supermarket building. Can we go back? I think I might have missed one that I want to, back the other way, sorry. Yeah. So, and we have, I don't know if we have it in this deck, but we're showing for the buildings that are, the 3 houses that are on Oak, no, because it would be over here. There's something that shows this area, but we've, added a stockade fence and more trees, and I think when we at a later meeting, if it's of concern, the architect can speak to the elevation of these buildings in comparison to the houses on Oak, and the fence, and what you'll actually be able to see from Oak, or you're not going to see it at all from Oak, but from the residences. Maybe the top floor is what we're thinking. That's it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Do you know any?
Are these the existing trees?
No.
So that's 10 years from now, how it's going to look like?
Yeah. Well, the larger trees could be 10 years, yeah. I can't plant trees that big. And the topography changes dramatically.
And one more question.
Yeah.
How do I get to Route 9 East?
From where?
Oh, I don't mean the intersection of Maple and Route 9. There's a light there. But if I'm on Oak?
If you're on Oak, then you go south and you take a left at that intersection.
Yeah, there's a light.
There's a light there.
Okay.
So this is pretty much, we spent a lot of time on working with the topography and a lot of time on the traffic. And I think from almost everywhere you can get to whatever direction you're going. Relatively easily.
Elsa, do you know? Okay. Turner?
From the southeast commercial corner, those 3 or 4 units, if you're on Route 9 heading west, you have right into the commercial.
So right here? Yeah, these four?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you are in there,
Yeah.
again, if you want to head back onto Route 9 West.
Yeah, so this is an in only. That's what Mass Highway dictated to us, Mass DOT.
Yeah.
And this cuts behind all these. It feeds all these four buildings.
Okay.
And then at this point, you can take a right or you can take a left. This is also proposed as a left in, right in. And initially, it was one way, but there was concern about emergency vehicles. And what we've done is, can't really see it in this picture, but there's a circle here, traffic circle. So the fire trucks can come in, and also if people come in this way, and if you want to go to this place, or you come down here and you change your mind, you can just go around the circle and go back.
Why were you not able to connect that to the second part of the?
It's just too much topography. We can't make the slopes don't work. We tried, but one of the things on this project is there'll be very few, if any, trucks carrying material in and out. So there's a lot of topography there, and Tim and his team, we've worked on trying to balance the site, and what that means is there's a lot of material up here, as you know from driving by, that's getting cut, and right now this area is a bit of a hole, and we're cutting and filling in different areas, and so all that activity will happen on site. None of that will be going, there's no export and there's no import. There is some ledge in this area. We know where the refusal is. We have a rough estimate on how much a rock will come out of there, and we've already done the calculations. We'll have a crusher on site. That stuff will be processed for the different sizes we need, and it'll be used on site.
So I see more of the residential traffic going on to Oak, not
well from these buildings. It'll go on to Oak, and from this building it'll go on to Maple.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Tim, do you have questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
No,
Are you good?
So certainly the walkways help because they just didn't have walkability before. The previous.
It didn't have on-site walkability, right?
The previous rendition. So there's still a lot of driving here, but that'll come forth from the traffic study. The scale of the project is massive, of course. So there's 3 curb cuts on Oak Street. Correct?
Correct, yes.
Oak, yes.
2 curb cuts on Route 9.
Correct.
Okay. And the Masonic Lodge is sandwiched in the middle because there's just no way around that.
Correct.
Okay. The gross floor area of these buildings, do you have that off the top of your head?
I don't have it. No, I could get.
Not the commercial, but the residential?
They're.
It's in the filing, but we don't.
I could pull it up after this.
All right. But they're within the maximum allowed or
Yes,
below that?
Correct.
Okay. Again, I think that it's just going to boil down to this is obviously a major project and the impact of the traffic and the infrastructure in the area. So I'll look forward to hearing more on that.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done?
I'm done, Dino.
From the first shovel on the ground to the end, what are you looking at time-wise?
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that because the residential pads are, some of that leasing will happen after some of, that'll be spread out. And on the commercial, the residential is probably a year and a half.
Really?
Because there's a lot of site work, so there's a lot of time that has to be spent with the dirt and the stone prior to doing anything vertical.
So a lot of tree cutting first.
Well, a lot of tree cutting's already been done, but there's some additional tree cutting.
I'm sorry, I do have one more question.
Certainly.
Can you speak to the community benefit?
Sure. Well, I heard the response to the last group that spoke to the benefits. So I think all those things are benefits, and there is we've been working with the town assessor, so we know what the tax benefit of this is because we got it from the town already. But in addition to this, we have this is very walkable if people are going to come in here, and we have the pocket park. So I think that's the benefit.
So the pocket park would be the additional benefit along with the low or moderate income affordable portion of this housing.
Yeah, and improving all the walkability of Maple, Oak, and Route 9 at the street, and certainly people can come in and walk around here. So
yeah,
Specific to the zoning code, yes, that you're committed to the percentage of affordable housing.
Sure.
And the additional benefit is either a pocket park or a bandstand, those number of
Right,
things.
right.
I think the pocket park is the one that we're looking into.
Okay. And whether or not anybody would actually walk down Route 9 remains to be seen.
Unlike what I've heard in this room, I ride my bike on Route 9 right there, right now, and I always have all the way up past Home Depot, both directions, and I ride a one-wheel from there all the way down to Whole Foods and all through the neighborhoods. So I think that a lot of people right now, I would say that on Route 9, the front of this is nobody goes near it because it's all wild and there is no sidewalk. I think when you add the sidewalk, it'll be the feel and texture will be similar to what it is down in the Whole Foods area, where you have things to do and it's walkable and it's visible and it's safe. Right now, I would say there's limited visibility if you're a pedestrian there. There is no sidewalk, and you're sort of rolling the dice if you want to be in the breakdown lane.
No doubt. Thank you.
Steve, any questions, comments?
Oh, yes, I have a few comments and questions. First, Mr. Adams, I want to commend you for embracing the amendments to the Lakeway zoning district that previously I think you had an issue with. But I commend you for embracing those. I guess one thing I want some clarity on, though, is I know that an A&R plan was filed to freeze the zone, and your engineer and yourself have referenced that, well, those 7 pad sites aren't part of the project. But my understanding is they are part of the special permit, correct?
The special permit would be for the Lakeway portion of the project. I believe the site plan approval would be just for the commercial portion of the project.
Okay, so my concern is that, and I'm not suggesting that, this plan isn't submitted in good faith, but essentially you're looking for 270 units of residential units for a 20,000 square foot supermarket, I presume an Aldi or something. Now, again, if you look at 308, 310, even what they're proposing for commercial space is far more significant based on a unit count than what you're proposing. So I think you got to include the 7 pad sites within the Lakeway district. You may not like that because I know that drive-throughs, et cetera, and ATMs with drive-throughs and fast food with drive-throughs are not allowable within the Lakeway district. But I don't consider this whole thing a Lakeway project. If you just look at 20,000 square feet of commercial space at 270 units. Those are my thoughts. Again, I'm just one vote. I think you also got to look at potential, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'll let you respond. I have other.
We were going to try and keep all, like, do our comments and questions, and then at the end, we'll give the proponent an opportunity to kind of respond. So
Okay,
if you want
all
to
right.
just put them all
Then
out
I'll
on the table
continue.
now.
Oak Street, I think Oak Street heading south, I think you need a right turn only. And as you control that corner, I think you could widen it to accommodate a right turn. I'm not asking you to make changes on the state highway, because I don't think that wouldn't be proper as part of a special permit condition, but I think you could accommodate that.
Anything else, Steve?
Yes, I think we need a separate hearing on aesthetics. Because these buildings look nice. I would agree with you. I like your presentations, I like your videos, I like the way the multifamilies look. And I'm not opposed to multifamilies by any means. I like the aesthetics, but I just want to, if we're going to take a hard look at this project, I would like to nail that down. And just dovetailing on the issue of multifamilies, I want to make sure that I know we're talking about studios, 1s, 2s. I just want to make sure that you guys do your research and make sure that the DHCD would accept the affordables that you're proposing to offer as part of our affordable count. Those are my comments.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I couldn't attend the first hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve. Before I open it up to the public for questions and comments, I do have a couple of things. One item related to the Pocket Park. I guess that is a new offering to the plan. So in looking at the location that you're proposing to do this Pocket Park, I'm making an assumption that it would then take out some of the parking and/or the circulation for the retail pad. So that would be interesting to see.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
I don't think it did at all, did it?
No, but I think we would be, as we updated the presentation, we haven't updated the plans yet, because assuming that we'd be going through the peer review process, we'd be updating that for you guys all at once, not to have a lot of different plan revisions on the street at one time.
Okay. No,
I think we have the
that.
space, I think, and obviously what we presented today, I think Sam was saying there'd be maybe some tweaks to it, so it might not visually be exactly what you saw, but that's the idea. Apologies.
what he's saying is that some of the plans that you're seeing tonight visually have not been updated on the actual plan set, so it's still going through a peer review. And based on that peer review, the plans that, tell me if I'm not.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't close enough to the mic, but yes, exactly. We'd be updating the plans once we go through the peer review process, so the presentation is sort of ahead of the plans at this moment, because we wanted to kind of show you some of these things that we've been thinking about and working on that Sam went through.
Okay, I appreciate that. My other question is for the commercial areas, the detention areas seem varied, and I guess one of the items that I'm questioning is that due to the topography of the area, or is that based on the use? Wouldn't it be the use that is dictating what the detention is, because the detention is site specific versus all of that? So that's just something that I'd like to try and get a better handle on.
So the intent of the detention systems within the pads is really that as these pads are leased and built out, they're each going to essentially handle the stormwater runoff for their own pad. So they're building a system that's, sized for the impervious area on that pad. The unique nature of this stormwater system is that the infiltration opportunities are all essentially on the southwest side of the site. Mm-hmm. So those are basically going to all kind of waterfall down to the infiltration systems, which are sizable in order to handle a site of this magnitude. And that's why you kind of see the different sizes. Some of the sizes on those pads are just dictated by being able to put in plantings and landscape islands and the different circulation patterns of those sites. So they might be different shapes, and sometimes there might be different depths as you look at those. You might not be seeing it in 3D. Obviously, we'll be going through that as we go through the peer review, but there is ledge that was encountered in some of those upper pads on the east side that, you know, we're trying to keep those systems shallow so as not to you know, have to excavate more than we need to, but still provide the stormwater we have to.
Okay, thank you. And just another comment, while I appreciate the greater visual detail that we've seen this evening, I'm still kind of sticking to my initial thoughts of, especially related to the 7 development pads, commercial pads along Route 9. It seems extremely cookie cutter down Route 9 with a significant amount of pavement that is jarring, quite honestly. So that's just something that I urge you to just continue to look at as you continue kind of going through this process. And I know that there were a couple of other questions and comments that came up at the last meeting, one that I just want to make sure that we're keeping in front of you. And I know it's obviously not anything that Buller can necessarily address this evening, but from a market study consideration, some of the questions that came up about you know, potential uses on the site, and if there is a market study that's going to be done. So that's just something to keep on the radar. But at this point, I'd like to open it up to the public for questions and comment. Yes, sir. You guys, whichever one. Sorry. Please just state your name.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Simone. I live on 330 Maple Avenue, actually, right across the street. You mentioned Pocket Park. You asked a question about what it's going to do for the community, I think, and you mentioned something about sidewalks and park. Where's the Pocket Park? Is that going to be, where is that going to be in the development there? You can
So
just point that.
Put my hand over it. It's generally over here along Maple Ave.
Oh, that's just where the Chelmsford building, you mean that little area there, where the Chelmsford statue was going to be?
The statue that we kind of,
okay.
I don't know which, it's not a statue, but.
The signage.
Signage, thank you.
Oh, that, okay. Could you also go to the arbor view of the large residential on Maple? You had a close-up to that.
Does this one work?
You had one that was a little closer before. It was from Maple Avenue.
Entranceway.
Showed landscaping in front of it.
Yeah.
This one?
Where the curb cut, no, on Maple. It's the one with the curb cut next.
Oh, Maple, apologies, I'm going wrong tree.
Next,
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that one. Okay. From what I've read, there's a 55-foot setback. Is it 55 feet to that building? Because that looks that looks like a football field in front of that.
So it's actually skewed from the property line, so it's 55 feet at its closest.
55 feet from where? From the street to
the closest point on the building, and then they diverge.
Yeah, so like this hand.
The closest point on the building, which would be the left side of the building.
To here.
The left corner.
The left corner.
That's
55 feet.
And then it grows, you know, pretty substantially from there. That's why you're seeing kind of Maple's pulling away from the building.
Okay. You also said something about on Oak, there's going to be a fence, and there's going to be something there where you'll eventually just see the top floor, I believe?
Correct.
Is there anything on Maple that's going to prevent from staring at that building 55 feet across, besides a couple of...
Well, that's going to be heavily planted. So I think if you start putting fences up there, I think it'll make it less attractive personally, but I'm open to ideas. I mean, right now you're looking, if you come up there, you're looking at, you know, the different pieces of the Chelmsford building, some of which I think is actually a zero setback. I think it's right on the street, one of those corners of the building. So this is substantially further back. And I might add that I think the Lakeway criteria is actually would dictate, you know, if you were to go strictly by Lakeway, that building would have to be much closer to the street, as would the supermarket. So if you think of the Whole Foods plaza, and you go up the street, you're going down Route 9, and you take a right at Walgreens. Walgreens will be on your right, then CVS will be on your left, and you go up past the fire station, then you pass Tavern on the Green, and then you've got a similar component. You've got the residential units there, and they're right on the street. And then if you take a left on that first street, again, you are looking in people's windows. It's right on the street, and you go all the way down until the multifamily residential component of that project ends. It's literally, I don't know if it's 10 or 15 feet or 5 feet. It's quite close to the street. You can look in the windows, because I go by all the time on the sidewalk, so I know. So we could move it closer, if we were trying to really adhere to the Lakeway guidelines.
No, I'm suggesting moving it back further.
It would actually be much closer. And what we have done is we have moved it back, because I think going up Maple, what you want is some spread. It lessens the height of the building the further you move it back, and it provides an opportunity to add the landscaping and the hardscaping and the architectural elements. So that was done on purpose. We moved it back, and by the same token, we put the parking behind the building, so you would not be looking at the parking lot for that building. So there's a reason why every building is where it is on this project, and I'm happy to speak to all of them if requested to do so.
My final question is that I read that this has already been approved. Is that true? I read that this project has been approved.
We are here this evening debating it, so no, there's been no approval.
Okay, because that's what some of the newspapers have been saying, that this has been approved.
I don't know where that would be, but no, that is the purpose of this meeting.
Okay. All right.
Is to discuss and debate. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ken Kowalczyk, and I reside at 104 Oak Street. And I would just like to reiterate a couple of issues I brought up at the last meeting. I can't speak for Maple. I'm not familiar with it, but as far as on Oak Street, I feel dumping that much more traffic onto Oak Street is problematic. But my main concern is, if the board can answer me, how can you issue a permit or a special permit for the entrance, which is going to be next to my house, when that area is on my deed to use? Now, I don't know if you can answer that, or I don't know how you can take away that land. My deed states that I have a 50-foot strip of land, which is part of that property, but it's deeded to us to pass and repass over that 50-foot strip. Now, this proposal is looking to take away probably at least 30 feet of that, and from what I saw in the prints, give me a 10-foot driveway. And I've been backing out of my garage and doing a little test things. I haven't done any measurements, but it just doesn't seem feasible that's going to work. But also, it changes my deed. I don't see how that's possible.
I do recall you bringing that up at the last meeting, and I don't know how that, I think that's something that we needed to look into that further.
That easement's on the plan.
I think he actually has an easement in the property deeded to me.
Right, I have the easement to pass and repass over a 50-foot strip.
Right.
It doesn't say 10 feet, 8 feet, 15 feet. It says there's a 50-foot strip that we have the right to get to our property to pass and repass.
Sure.
And we haven't been approached at all about taking that away, or this supposedly driveway they want to put in for us. We haven't.
Yeah, we'd be happy to meet with you.
But,
Yeah, okay.
that'd be great. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
because I see this special permit coming, and it's like, well, how can you grant a special permit
Okay,
when?
we'd be happy to meet with you and your wife.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great. I'd like to have a conversation about it and what's
absolutely.
proposed, and
Yeah.
make sure I have enough room to turn around and
Yeah, well,
whatnot.
we want you to be happy.
Because then that would, of course, alter, say, our deed. Because we would only have now access to, say,
We're happy
15 feet.
we're happy to meet with you and go over it.
Sounds great.
Okay, we'll give you a buzz.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Joseph DeAngelo, 70 Beverly Hill Drive, and I was at the last meeting, and I got a couple of things that I did some measurements. Going up Oak Street, coming off Route 9, first driveway into the bowling alley is 75 feet. The next driveway going into Williamsburg's Court, it's 85 feet. The next one after that is 95 feet. The next one after that is a driveway, it's 85 feet. Then you get 3 more houses, then you have a nursery school, and you have 3 more driveways to go to the school. And you have 30 buses every day come out of the school, down Oak Street. Okay? And you have 42 cars, I counted, from 145 to 230 sitting out on Oak Street. So if you're going to build a development like this, that street cannot handle it. Any fire apparatus has to go down that street, it's going to be impossible. And nowhere fire trucks can get close to these buildings. If you guys have been watching the news lately, these fire guys have a hard time getting close to these buildings. He's sticking all this together. You're not going to get fire trucks close to these buildings. The building department needs to think about this, and the fire department needs to think about it. And if that Oak Street's the town street, we should have our town engineers doing a road test and see if that traffic can be handled on that, putting that interest in that complex in there. And it's so high up, the reason why they have to cut it and bring all the fill down 2 elevations. It's gonna look pretty, but as of us, as the neighbors looking in town, it's gonna be an eyesore. It's gonna ruin our town. School system's gonna get maxed out. I told you guys this before. See this school right here? We got 1,400 kids a day come here. It was built for 900. What are we gonna do after he builds it? He's gonna be long gone. He ain't gonna keep that. He wants to get it built and pack up and leave. This school will never handle it right now, and they can't handle it down the road. And Mass DOT will never okay coming down Maple Street, one entrance. They salt that road. There's no way DOT is going to okay that coming down there. If you're coming down that street, there's a house on the right and there's a house on the left. The poor guy in the house on the left, he'll never get out of his driveway. Thank you. I hope you guys do your homework.
Thank you.
You're not going to get a good tax rate by him.
Thank
It's
you.
going to cost us money. Costs all of us money. The whole town, he's costing us money.
Thank you,
We're not
sir.
gaining nothing.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Costello, 398 Walnut Street. First, I want to thank Mr. Rolikis because he brought up something I was going to bring up, which is the point that I think a lot of residents might not understand. As we look at that picture there, Mr. McGoldrick, if can I through the chair?
Sure, sure.
All of that technically falls under the Lakeway Overlay District. However, the commercial zone can be used because you can use an underlying zone even if the Lakeway Overlay District is there. Is that more or less correct?
Correct. So the reason that it's split on the agenda, that's 2 separate projects. One is under the Lakeway Overlay, one is under the Commercial Business Underlying District.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is, and what Mr. Rolikis said, those commercial buildings are within technically the Lakeway Overlay District, but a developer doesn't have to use that zone. They can use the underlying commercial zone because it is commercially zoned there as well.
Correct. They could have an option.
Yeah, so first, as Mr. Rolikis said, I would encourage the developer to go back and say, why don't we make this all a Lakeway Overlay District? I know it changes everything, and it's primarily because those 7 buildings are going to have drive-throughs, car washes. I think they even mentioned a car wash, things like that, which would not then fall within the Lakeway Overlay District. I think what I want to say, and I promise I'm not going to read all this, but it's my notes. The planning board doesn't have to approve this automatically. We all know that. If it conflicts with the purposes of the Lakeway Overlay District, if it fails to meet the design guidelines, if it creates traffic and pedestrian safety risks, and that's beyond just traffic. It's literally traffic and pedestrian and safety risks, and it doesn't provide, it provides insufficient community benefit. You can legally, defensibly deny or force a major overhaul of this project. That's been backed up by case law in Massachusetts. State courts will generally agree with planning boards when they write down why it was denied, right? And I'm not saying we should get 100% denial. I think we need a major redesign, right? I think if you think about what the Lakeway Overlay District was, it was to encourage walkable, pedestrian-oriented development. I think a few sidewalks and a couple trees doesn't follow that. It reduces auto-centric commercial sprawl. It looks like sprawl to me, but this is why I think we also do need this design, maybe a separate meeting. Minimizes curb cuts and creates, and this is in the bylaw, right, a New England-style mixed-use district, not a strip mall, not Soviet-style apartments. I think what we're saying here is we need to do better, right? Design guidelines, as I mentioned earlier, are completely enforceable by the planning board. There are strict architectural and site design guidelines in that bylaw. As a matter of fact, through the chair, I think it says we prefer 2-story to 2.5. You can go up to 3, or the planning board can, in their discretion, go for more. But the bylaw actually says 2.5 story is preferable. And it talks a lot about design. New England style, shingles, village feeling. There's a lot in there, right? It has to be human scale massing. It has to be pedestrian focused. It has to have parking subordinated buildings. It has to avoid big box. It has to avoid. So the question is, what we have to say is, does it function as a Route 9 commercial center? Or is it a walkable district in the New England style, and we could deny this on design grounds alone, right? I won't get into the safety because the gentleman before me just brought that up. I think the key part is, what I want to respectfully ask for is that we think about these questions, right? Does the project advance or undermine the purpose, right? The purpose of the Lakeway Overlay District. Are auto-oriented uses, are they compatible with a walkable mixed-use district as presented in the Lakeway Overlay District? Whether traffic and pedestrian safety impacts are acceptable, and that goes beyond just traffic impact studies. We have to look beyond that. The gentleman right before me brought that up. Those are things that we have to look at, that's safety issues. And whether community benefits are proportional to the project scale, right? So you have the responsibility, you have the authority to deny or require a major redesign. I don't think residents are specifically saying we oppose development. I know we all think there's a lot more development in the town that we'd like, right? But I think what we're saying is the planning board, our town leaders, just enforce the Lakeway Overlay District as written, and I think we'll come to the solution we need. And thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mark Majori, 19 Gordon Road. I want to go back to what Stephen kind of suggested. Is there a way you can change it to where Oak Street is, with the landscape photo? Yes, that one. Kind of suggested having a right lane turn only. And if you look at the other streets on Lake Street and Harrington Ave, they have multi-lanes. They have one for a straight, one to take a left, and one to take a right. Oak Street only has one lane, and that will either take you to a left onto Route 9 East, or right, Route 9 West, or go down South Street. One lane. You're going to have one lane, okay? On the other way, if you're coming on Oak Street and you want to go head north to the middle school, right? It's the same light cycle. So the last 4 years, I've been, going to soccer games, going to lacrosse games. All my son's friends are that part of that Oak Street and going, and then they go to Oak, go Oak and Sherwood. So I travel that road almost every single day. When I travel from south to north, and when I want to take a left to Route 9 West, I have to wait because there's only one single line. There's not a left-hand turn or whatever. So I'm going to be fighting all that traffic coming down. So there has to be a change of light cycle there. The best way to do is to get that right-hand turn only, kind of like what they did on Lake Street when you're going down after Beale. They put a light signal, just a left-hand turn. I think that needs to happen. It needs to happen. It didn't happen until a couple of years ago, until the Beale Street. But you're gonna have a hard time taking a left when all that traffic from all those commercial. I mean, I didn't see it on the traffic study, even though I didn't read the whole thing. But I don't mention anything about a light cycle there. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And I know Oak Street is part of the town, so Mass DOT might not trust that. I'll save a little bit more when the traffic study is more, but I think that needs to be addressed. As far as the pedestrian walking, if the only way I can see a pedestrians using that plaza is if you put a fast food chain, probably with the middle school kids, because they're all going to walk down there. Instead of going to Dunkin' Donuts on Main Street, Maple Ave, they're all going to go down there. That's the only pedestrian. No one from the Fairlawn, from the Oak, no one's going to walk to those places. I mean, at least we could kind of walk to the marketplace, but that's a little bit more of a feel. It kind of has a little bit more a neighborhood feel. These don't. These look like 6 separate buildings that could be spread out the whole entire town. And people are just going to come in and out. You're not going to have a lot of walkability. And I don't even think people that are going to live there, people nowadays, they don't even like to walk anymore. They'll take their car, turn around, go in there, go to the fast food and move over there, or get. I mean, I just don't see people walking there. So there's nothing to walk there. You walk into a parking lot, and then I have to walk down the road. It's just not really walkable.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Kathleen Cohane, 29 Gleason Road. This has been a long night, but I hope you'll give me a little latitude here and talk about the pocket parks for a little bit. I want to make sure that they aren't just window dressing and are actually usable. And if you're talking about making them the same as Marketplace, those benches there aren't usable in the summertime because they're made of some kind of composite material, and so they're sagging in the heat, and you can't sit on them if it's hot because they just radiate heat off of them. You know, for personal experience. You know, and I used to take the bus on a regular basis and do take it occasionally now. So having a bus stop there is a good idea. You know, the one at Marketplace, the bus doesn't go into there like it does at Lakeway. So that's it. You know, it's a lighthearted moment. you know. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And, yes, sir, Mr. Kirk. Oh, Mr. Kirk, if you'd like. I said Mr. Kirk, but I mean Mr. Edwards, if you'd like to come up as well.
Chris Kirk. Mr. Rotalakis said that he liked the aesthetics of this project, and I would suggest that he make an emergency appointment with his ophthalmologist because he obviously suffers from very severe cataracts. Frankly, all of the multifamily housing that's been built in the last few years has all of the charm of a Soviet prison, circa 1950, very ugly. Modern terms, it's called brutalist architecture. It has no ornamentation whatsoever. It is basically filing cabinets for putting human beings into. It's just.
Please.
So I don't know how much influence you have over aesthetics, but I would hope that you could come up with something better than what the no-talent architects have been inflicting on Shrewsbury in recent years. And this, this is going to be visible way down Route 9. So this is going to be standing out, and this is going to be the impression of Shrewsbury that a lot of people are going to have. And I would hope that visitors to this town, people passing through it, would think it's better than something that Stalin would have built. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Atwood, did you have something?
Richard Edwards, Oak Street. I'm just going to reiterate the style of the buildings, that they look very sterile and not in keeping with the look of Shrewsbury. I know the residential homes that are will abut this. They're all single-story or two-story homes with roofs. You have the Williamsburg Place across the street. I think that's only 3 stories, maybe 2. And it has some nice ornate roofing, and those buildings don't mesh nicely with that. It's actually going to be an eyesore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Elizabeth Carvalho, 241 Maple Avenue in Shrewsbury. Just my comments, and thank you first for listening to the community for their changes and continue to do so. And also wanted to note that there is a Worcester bus number 15 that passes Maple Ave all the way through to Julian Drive and back, so the bus depot is not just nice to have, it's a must need, because I live on Maple Ave, so I can tell you the bus number 15 passes several times a day. Then why not combine some of those commercial pads? Why do they all have to be individual? I don't know, just for the landscaping, if you combined commercial 2 or 3 together to reduce the landscape view of it. And then we talked about community benefit previously. I guess I'm trying to understand why you need the 5th building on Maple Ave, and why not make that into a park of some kind, a bigger park, not just this little couple of benches, but like a ballpark that we never have enough soccer fields, we never have enough baseball fields. That would be a community benefit, and it would be right on Maple Ave, and it would go nicer with the residential view from that perspective. And finally, all traffic leads to Oak. There is no all traffic leads to Oak.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wishing to speak on this evening? Yes, sir. And then I'll come to you.
Paul Lindsay at 86 Oak Street, and I just want to reiterate that we have 3 lanes of traffic going by during arrival time and dismissal time for the schools, and any traffic study needs to take into account those time periods. It should be done during school days.
Thank you.
Jadine Garnett, 43 LeBlanc Road. I live right across from where this is going to be built. We come out right there. Sam, I implore you, we worked so well together during the Fairlawn project. You brought that project down for us, the neighbors. Now it looks beautiful. I implore you to please bring this project down, reduce the size, reduce the scope. We're pretty happy with what we ended up with. We work really well together as a neighborhood for Fairlawn, and it looks so much better, such a vast improvement. And I would just ask that this project be brought down. This is really, really big for the entire town, the neighborhood, and we know that you are willing to work together with the neighbors. So I just ask that with this project again. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public on this? Yes, sir.
Brian Lake, 108 Oak Street. Again, we are one of the direct abutters to the property on Oak Street. And we did send a letter to the planning board. I know it was a little long. But then there's a number of things that I'd just like to bring up and reiterate. I know we've talked about a lot of this stuff tonight. We'll kind of bypass the Lakeway overlay piece. We've kind of beat that one to death. Although, you know, obviously the developer threw us a couple of bones with, you know, the sidewalk and a couple of benches up front. The biggest one really, honestly, is just it's the traffic coming out onto Oak Street. It cannot handle it, period. Even if you put a turning lane in there, it is not going to improve it that much. We sat through 5 light cycles this morning trying to get from our house down onto Route 9. That's ridiculous. You can't add even more traffic onto that street. And I also have a question about the property on Oak Street that the corner where the commercial piece is going to go. All the way, pretty much all the way down Oak Street from basically where our property is to the corner, there's about a 30 to 35 foot strip that is actually not the developer's property to the corner. It's actually town-owned property. Do we generally turn that land over to a developer to let them do with it what they want? It just seemed a little odd when I was kind of looking at that on the map. Even our driveway, the first part of it, is actually the old Oak Street originally from a long time ago, and that is still town-owned property. So that strip kind of continues all the way down to the corner. But yet everything here is showing that it's all being developed as part of the project. Also, the current plan shows that there are some retaining walls or fences, rather, that are going up along the one access, of the northernmost access, back down towards the apartments, and it kind of separates our 3 properties from the rest of the neighborhoods. I was trying to find some detail on the plans around what that barrier or fence or whatever it is was going to look like, but I couldn't find anything in the plans. I'd be curious to see what that is. Additionally, it was, as Ken mentioned earlier, that was segmenting his driveway, or he was being prevented then, if that barrier goes up, from using his deeded right-of-way to that northern entrance as identified on the plan, and that should not be allowed. We'd ask that that whole barrier, fence, whatever it is, doesn't get put up. Leave us as part of the rest of the neighborhood and don't separate us from the rest of the houses. Building height restrictions, you know, we should keep it to what the zoning laws say. 3 stories. We have zoning laws for a reason. For some reason, the town decides, or a few people on boards in the town decide that we're just going to hand out variances like candy. It's ridiculous. We have rules and laws for a reason. We should abide by them. The benefit, the minor tax benefit that we would get from a 4th story of apartments is not very much, and it's the additional load of people and load on the schools and other resources in town far outweighs any minor tax benefit that we would get. You know, we're really looking forward to all of the ugliness and dirt and noise and all the other fun stuff during construction. So we're kind of curious what the proponent is going to do to try to mitigate some of that stuff. It's really exciting to hear about all of the crushing of the rock that comes out, that they're going to blast out from the hill. Really looking forward to that one. Blasting, yeah, that's great, and I'm looking forward to that too, on what it's going to do to our property. The whole hill is basically one piece of ledge, so that's going to be real fun as well. Sewer, you know, it's really interesting that as a town we've decided that if you as a family want to buy a piece of property and build a house on it, you're not allowed to connect to sewer. But yet, if I'm a developer and I want to bring in 270 apartments and a whole bunch of commercial stuff, sure, come on, connect to our sewer. And we're not going to actually pay for anything. The developer's not going to, other than a few connection fees or any of that kind of stuff. What kind of thinking is that? That is ridiculous. shouldn't be allowed. I think that's it for now. I'm sure there'll be more things in future hearings.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Sure.
Sorry.
No?
Sorry, Brian Costello, 398 Walnut Street. Just to build on Mr. Kirk's statement, the planning board has an absolute right to change or force the change based on design criteria. It's in the bylaw, right? So I think we really should consider that. I mean, even if you look at the bylaw, it says, pleasing, symmetrical arrangement of windows and entrances, trim, shutters, creates a rhythm that will accomplish the town's objectives. Architectural diversity, right? So when we look at things like this, there's no diversity here to Mr. I know Mr. Kirk just left, but to folks what they've said. We have the ability to work with developers to say, this isn't it. What we're thinking of is, New England style, a village, something like that, something that's more walkable, something that has mixed use that's actually built in somehow. And I think that's the key. We do have the ability to say no or require substantial changes in the plan just based on design alone. So
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this evening? If not, I'd like to provide the project proponent an opportunity to respond to some of the items, or if you want to hold them till the next hearing.
I think we'll wait.
Certainly.
There's a lot of traffic. And,
Sure.
And just like last time I waited and did some of this, and gives me more time to think and talk to the entire team rather than just give you a reaction response.
It's appreciated. No, absolutely. All right, so I guess with that, I would like to request a continuance of this public hearing until the March 5th meeting.
I move that we continue the public hearing for 335 Maple Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Dino?
Yes.
Perna?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Steve?
In favor?
And I'm in favor, yes. All right, so that's continued until the March 5th meeting.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up this evening, for new business, we have to discuss and deliberate on the decision that's before us for 333 South Street, special permit. Chris, do you want to?
Thank you, yes. So I know that this decision was...
Before we get started, Chris, I'm sorry, can I just ask everyone kind of just please be mindful that we are still in a public meeting, so if there are any conversation, please bring it out into the hallway. Thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
I have a conflict. I'm recusing myself. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we do have the project, the hearing was closed at the last meeting for 333 South Street. We've worked with the applicant in terms of the decision, received some edits from them, but the decision as drafted, I believe it was provided 2 days ago, is substantially complete in our mind. So this is for the manufacturing enterprise use. At that location, this applicant will be returning for site plan approval, so this is one of the 2 steps that will need to be taken. Certainly the site plan approval process will include additional reviews and studies. We have included as conditions a slate of conditions that relate to both permits, and as part of that site plan approval process, any additional permits would then carry over to this as well. But this is that first step to establish the rights to use the use, or to consider the use of that manufacturing enterprise, and they'll come back for the site plan for the actual development work of the overall site. So included in this is allowances for demolition of portions of the structure, as well as interior work and some of the facade work that are related to rehabbing that existing structure in relation to the use, but again, the larger improvements and the actual tenancy, future prospective tenancy of the unit would still require that site plan approval with this board. So.
Sure. Okay, I'd like to open up to the board for any questions, comments. Matt?
None. No.
Dino?
Nope.
Arnold?
No question, Chair.
Just, I'm not sure if this should be directed through the chair toward Mr. McGoldrick, but has the parcel ownership transferred already?
I believe it's under agreement.
Okay. Still with a condition of approval on this?
Correct. So this would establish, they would still be the property owner, but the property owner has authorized the applicant to do this on their behalf.
I see. All right. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions or comments, I would like to entertain a vote on this decision. Is there a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, this is to actually vote on the decision itself. Yeah.
Okay. How should that be framed?
So make a motion to approve the application for a special permit for 333 South Street.
Okay. I make the motion to approve the 333 South Street special permit application.
Second.
All right, Matt?
I'm in favor.
Dino?
In favor.
In favor.
Tim?
I'm in favor, yes.
I'm also in favor. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Okay. Next is voting to appoint a representative to the Master Plan RFP Committee. Now, Chris, I have to say, every single meeting, you have something that you are appointing us to.
There have certainly been a lot of appointments lately. We are busy during this phase. So this is for the selection, the committee that will be reviewing the RFPs and selecting the master plan consultant. It will be a mixture of staff and a representative from the planning board, and providing a recommendation to finally select that consultant, but doing that evaluation work and developing the recommendation. Typically done one meeting, typically during work hours, but we'll review all of those. Obviously, those materials are provided. You're given time to review them. There's criteria that we go through, a worksheet, and then we will convene that meeting with everyone, discuss the qualifications, score them, and then provide that recommendation. You had asked about timeline, so I actually brought up from the RFP the specific timeline in the bid, just to better allow those considering participating what those key dates are. So, yes, sorry, everyone has to turn. So the sorry, we are at this stage of the proposals due. Will be on February 9th. We will then obviously review them for compliance and throw out anything that is non-compliant with the RFP request. And then evaluation will begin shortly thereafter. The actual interviews and presentations would be developed according to schedules of committee members. We are required to provide a selection or reject all proposals by March 3rd. So that is our kind of timeline, but happy to answer any other questions related to the responsibilities of that appointment.
Is anybody interested in participating in this? I'm going to say that with my current, I just,
You're on.
it's not going to happen for me.
Chris, I would, if I was able to free up hours during work. I just can't do it. Sorry.
I can't either.
I can't. I'm trying to cut down my things. Does it have to be from the planning board, Chris? Or?
In the RFP, we did say that we would have a selection of the staff and representatives of the planning board.
So that
if the board would like to vote to decline, we can move ahead with that.
What did you say?
I guess if the board would like to vote to decline to be on that committee, we can do that, and staff will provide that recommendation. But we wanted to provide the opportunity for board members if they wanted to be on it.
Could you squeeze it in, Perna?
So I just want that last one, like, once the award selection is over, are we done with that, or?
So after the award selection, the consultant will work through that scope. The board's involvement after that would be handled at regular public meetings. So you'll be a part of the process, but as a planning board, not separately. This is just a one-time
This is a short-term, one-time, you're done by the beginning of March. So it's a tight time frame, but it's not an extended time frame. I just, unfortunately, I just don't think I can personally do the tight time frame with my.
I can. I'm so sorry. But, I mean, if you can.
No one else can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be up north, so.
When are you looking to do the interviews?
So again, we would accommodate the schedules of those. So if it needs to be outside of work hours, we can work to accommodate that.
Seeing that there's no other individuals, I cannot do it, and that would just.
Can we delegate it to you, Chris?
So I think we would have to just.
Well, I will be on the
defer.
committee, but and I'm happy to report, obviously, to the board in that capacity. Again, if members are constrained in schedules during that time frame and would like to decline, this is just to provide that opportunity for the board to engage if schedules would allow. But I also understand that there's other commitments, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think based on the reaction, I think we have to defer to appointing a representative. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
There's no A&R plans this evening,
No A&R plans this evening.
and I'll just make note that we have received multiple correspondence. It's listed on the agenda for various projects, mostly 335 Maple and 525 Harvard Turnpike. I don't think that there's any other business this evening. If there's nothing else, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I move the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.